Good evening. I call to order the regular meeting of the City Council on Monday, September 10th, 2018. Clerk will lead the roll.
Councilor Capone.
Here.
Councilor De La Sola.
Here.
Councilor DeFlorio.
Here.
Councilor DePiero.
Here.
Councilor Marquez. Councilor Hanlon. Councilor Marquez.
Here.
Councilor Matusky. Here. Councilor McKinnon.
Here.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Here.
Councilor Simonelli.
Here.
And President Napolitano.
Here.
10 members present. Mr. President, you have a quorum.
If you'll rise and salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I ask everyone to remain standing. Between our last session and this meeting, country lost a great patriot and veteran, John McCain, so I ask a few minutes of silence. All right, before the clerk reads the items on the agenda, I just want to let you sure that Councilman Hanlon is called in. He will not be here this evening. He's not feeling well. We'll have more information as we're aware of. And before I also want to reiterate the 5-minute rule. Again, as at the request of one of our members, and again, just on my own research, we go by Robert's Rules, Parliamentary Procedure. Robert rules indicate that once a councilman has the floor, it does not matter at what segment of the piece it's his. When a councilor has the floor, he has it for 5 minutes. At the end of 5 minutes, you need to sit down. You have a second chance to get up and sit and ask questions or call someone for another 5 minutes. And after that, to stand up for a third time, you do need to have the collective vote of the body. I'm going to be timing each member's speech. When we get to 4.5 minutes, I'm just going to give you a slight tap on the gavel to give you a heads up. Hopefully at that point you'll be far enough along that you can wrap up what you're saying. At the 5-minute mark, I'll tap twice. Again, it's not to disrupt you. It's not to throw you off your game. But again, it's just to know that now you've hit the 5-minute mark and that, again, I'm enforcing this equally across everyone. Okay, we've got a long agenda tonight. Hopefully, we won't have a long evening. Okay. First of all, we do have 3 public hearings scheduled. So if the clerk would read item number 1.
Item number 1. It's a public hearing offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president. It's a petition from RCN Telecom Services, LLC to lay and maintain underground conduits and manholes with the wires and cables to be placed therein under the surface of Main Street to Parlin Street.
Councilman Capone.
Mr. Chairman, is the petitioner here?
Do we have the petition from RCN?
Could we please have the petition before us?
Okay, I have a motion to have the petitioner before us. May I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. If you please come up, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Alex Ortiz. I work for RCN.
Just put that.
Bill Conway, Access Engineering.
Councilman Capone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to our guests, could you please just give us an overview of what exactly you're looking to do, the scope of the work, the time frame, duration, et cetera, hours?
We're looking to do a dig on off of Main Street to Parlin Street. The dig's about 226 feet. It should take about 3 days to complete. We're just trying to feed. That's a cold section of town that we don't feed. We exhausted our options we called Comcast, National Grid, and Verizon to see if they had any conduit available so we wouldn't have to dig up the streets, but they didn't have anything available.
Okay. So that's new service?
Yes.
Is that what it is? So, are there folks in the neighborhood that have requested, or are you just expanding for potential business in the future?
We've had calls from the neighborhood.
Okay. And you said it would take about three days. I know there's several pieces on the agenda here this evening. Are they all similar jobs, similar duration and time frame?
Yes, they are.
What hours of operation are you thinking about doing with regards to the digging?
We'd like 9:30 to 3:30.
Okay. And then at the end of the shift, I would imagine, are you plating the street or so that there'd be access for vehicles?
It'd either be plated or filled back in.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Are you going to have a detail?
Yes, we are.
And the other thing is there going to be any baiting for rodents?
Excuse me, I didn't hear you.
Baiting for rodents?
If that's what's necessary,
Un-
I'm
Under the
not
city
sure.
ordinance, it's required.
Under the city
Okay.
ordinance, it is required, and I want to make sure it is done because of all the digging going up in the city, we do have a rodent problem.
It's
So
required,
I
it'll,
would appreciate that would be a top priority.
if it's required, it'll be done. I'll
Okay.
make sure of it.
All my other questions have been answered. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilman McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to our invited guest, quick question. Powell Street is a dead-end street. Are you going to go straight down the middle, or will there be any access through these hours, either left side or right side, or is it going straight down the middle of the street?
So it looks like we're going down the right side gutter.
Okay,
So you should be able to get in.
You possibly can pass on the left side?
Correct.
Okay, not that, but that's the only way in and out of the street totally, so that's my question was. So, great, thank you, appreciate it.
Councilman Marchese.
Quick, this will probably apply for all three of them. How wide a hole will you be digging down, a foot? I mean,
Be going
8
down
foot
about
wide? You know, like-
About maybe 2 feet wide, 18 inches deep.
Oh, so just like a backhoe size, right?
Correct.
Front, okay, thank you.
Councilman Del Sol.
Good evening. When you're done with it, you pave right after you're done? The pave is complete when you leave
Yes.
there? Within 3 days?
Yes.
What is it? Is this just a line going down from Main Street down to Pond Lane, and that's it? So you must have a line going down Main Street itself?
We don't at the moment, but we were able to lease some of the conduits from Verizon, so we're actually digging to a Verizon manhole. They got us as far as they could, and then we're going to dig from the Verizon manhole up
To the end of Pond Lane?
under Parlin, yes. Well,
Okay.
to this, I think it's the second telephone pole. It's not all the way up to Parlin. It's just the second pole in from,
Okay, and once that's complete, all your digging's done?
correct.
Okay. Now, when are you looking to start this project? If everything passes?
As soon as possible. A week, 2 weeks.
And the residents will be able to get out, like Councilman McCullough said, it's a dead-end street. So once you start digging, are the cars going to be able to get up and down the street during the day, or are you going to notify them with letters, obviously? And then, once they get out, are they going to be able to get back in again if they have to?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, and I would ask the sponsor if the speakers could stay for a moment, because they're on both the other two items as well. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, I'm going to ask 3 times. I would entertain a motion to open the public public hearing. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, I'm going to ask 3 times who is, if you're in favor of this project. Are you in favor, anyone in this attendance in favor of this project? Anyone in favor of this project? Anyone in favor of this project? Okay, that closes this portion of that, of this public hearing. Is anyone against this project? Is anyone against this project? 3rd time, is anyone against this project? Okay, we close that. We have a motion to close public hearing. Second, all in favor? Ayes have it. Your pleasure. We have a motion for favorable action. Second. Clerk will read the roll.
Mr.
On the motion. Councilman
Favorable
Collins.
action as indicated, 9 to 3:30, access for the neighborhood, the police detail, baiting, everything that's required. As long as we
Yes.
have this covered.
I have that note already.
Okay, we have a motion for favorable action with those conditions. Clerk will read the roll.
Okay, roll call with the conditions. Counselor Capone.
Yes.
Counselor Della Sola.
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counselor DePiero.
Yes.
Counselor Marchese.
Yes.
Counselor Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Napolitano.
Yes.
That would be 10 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. President.
Okay, you've passed item number 1. Clerk will read item number 2.
Item number 2. There's a public hearing offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president to petition from RCN Telecom Services LLC to lay and maintain underground conduits and manholes with the wires and cables to be placed therein under the surface of Winter Street to Chelsea Street.
Counsel Capone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to our guests. Similar piece, I think it's the same as 3. All these projects identical.
Yes.
Digging will be up the right side or left side, one of the sides,
Yes.
to permit access for the vehicles, roughly 9 to 3:30 in the afternoon, either plated or filled in, and following all the other conditions that were stated earlier. That's
Yes.
acceptable?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Counsel McLaughlin. That's it? Okay. Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to excuse customary thanks. Again, I ask that you sit for the third item. I have a second? All in favor? The ayes have it. A motion to open public participation. A motion to open public participation, public hearing, and second, all in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, as before, I'm going to ask 3 times. Anyone in favor of this project? Now, is anyone in favor of this project? Is anyone in favor of this project? Is anyone in favor of this project? There's no response. Close that portion. Is anyone opposed to this project? Is anyone opposed to this project? Third time, is there anyone opposed to this project? Closing that portion. A motion to close public hearing. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Second motion.
I have a recommendation for favorable action with the same conditions. Been seconded. Clerk will read the roll.
Okay, favorable action is the same as the first one. Councilor Capone.
Yes.
Councilor De La Sola.
Yes.
Councilor DeFlorio.
Yes.
Councilor DePiero.
Yes.
Councilor Marchese.
Yes.
Councilor Matusky.
Yes.
Councilor McKinnon.
Yes.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Councilor Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Napolitano.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays. Mr. President, you have passed the order.
Okay, we've passed item number 2. Clerk will read item number 3.
Item number 3 is a public hearing offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president. A petition from RCN Telecom Services LLC to lay and maintain underground conduits and manholes with the wires and cables to be placed therein under the surface of Chelsea Street to Partridge Terrace.
Counsel Capone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to our guests. Again, 3rd time's the charm. Same exact transaction as the other 2. All the stipulations are all the same. Going to get in and out within 3 days or so, 9 to 3:30. Detail, baiting, capping or filling in, allowing vehicle access from the neighborhood to get in and out during the day.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. No other questions.
Counsel Matusky.
Thank you, Mr. President. I noticed these are all one-way streets, dead-end streets. And there's only 12 houses on, I think 12 houses on Partridge Terrace, 12 houses on Winter Street, maybe 13. Powell Street, I know there's a condominium building there. But why are they all on dead-end streets? Just a
I
little-
think because a lot of them consisted of digs, so we put in applications for Verizon to lease conduit, and they just took so long to give us approval on what they had and what they didn't have.
Okay, well, we talked briefly before the meeting, Mr. President, and there's 2 concerned residents that are here from Partridge Terrace. You spoke to them, one of them at least.
Yes.
So that's a nice little street. The street's in good condition. We expect you to put it back in the same condition that it is. Unfortunately, Mr. Ortiz, some of the permits that we give out, licenses to do this work, they don't repair the streets correctly. So I want to take a close look. I don't live too far from either one of these streets, and I want to see that that street is repaired the way it was in the condition that we grant this license. You understand, it sinks, sometimes they sink. That's not acceptable. And it's going on all over the city. Becomes a little hole, and then it becomes a big pothole if it's not done right. So please, these are nice neighborhoods, and I hope that I'll vote in favor of this, but please keep in contact if there's any issues. The gentleman that you did speak with served on the city council for 12 years here, so his family is still there. So we want to make sure that RCN does the right thing. Thank you.
Okay, no other speakers.
Make a motion to open a public hearing.
Let's have a motion to excuse the customary thanks.
Excuse with the customary thanks.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, have a motion to open public hearing. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. All right, so again, as of the other two previous items, I want to ask 3 times if anyone is in favor of this item. Now, is anyone in favor of this activity? Mr. Parisi, if you would, please have a seat. I would like to recognize in the chambers former Alderman Tommy Parisi, who's also a former Common Council member as well.
A little different sitting on the other side of this fence.
Absolutely.
You know?
You have to push the
I'm
button
still looking
up.
for John Seal, but he's not with us anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for allowing me to speak tonight. My mother.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
My name is Thomas Parisi.
I think it's going to be on. Okay. Is it on?
It's on.
Okay.
I reside at 15 Sawmill Way in Georgetown. My mother is at 9 Partridge Terrace, and she's the direct abutter that's going to be affected by this dig. It's very enlightening to see that the company is going to be working with the residents and also the city council. But I am a little concerned about when you look into Verizon and now all of a sudden they don't get permission to do certain parts of the city where they have to dig. Now, if they got permission from Verizon, would they have to do these dead-end streets? Was there an issue where Verizon did not give them ample space for them to come up, because for other areas they probably got the space, but for these dead-end streets in this public hearing it looks like they did not get it, so therefore they have to open up the street, go from the main thoroughfare being on Chelsea Street in this case, up to the first pole, which is right on the corner of my mother's driveway. And my mother's 88 years old. She takes her car out to go to doctor's visits or yard sales or flea markets and or go shopping. And she's going to be directly adversely affected by this. If they're going to be starting at 9:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning till 3:30, the first question is, where is she going to park her car to get access to get out? She's 88, she doesn't walk far, you know, so it's something where they have to provide some space or some access for my mother to get in and out of there. I appreciate Mr. Ortiz giving me his number, which, if there is a problem, I know my mother will call me, and I know my mother will call you people, and that's one thing. She's the politician in the family, and she always was. But it's very important that you consider her concerns as well as the rest on that street, because if it's going to go up the right-hand side of the Partridge Terrace, which is next to the McCollum Brothers Boat Shop, they have a driveway that's right there, and they're adversely affected by it, and I'm surprised they're not here tonight. But knowing my mother, knowing the pole that's right there that they're going to use, and knowing her driveway, this street was repaired several years ago, replaced, which was the first time in as long as I remember, you know, and the city's always been very helpful, and I think it's important for my mother and myself that our CN is the ones that they're good corporate business people. They work with the people of Everett, and they also help out my mother in case of need. So if they can knock on her door when they're working and talk to her and give her all the comfort, I think that would be very encouraging, because she is the direct one that's being affected. And I appreciate your time, and I am in favor of it because I think it's something you need to do, but I think questions of why you need to do on a dead-end street, as Councilman Matusky stated, why is it necessary when you didn't have to do it other places because you did get permission? So that's something that you may want to find out why, and other than that, your council looks wonderful. It's been, it definitely changed in 25 years, and I don't see 25 people now. I only see 11, so good luck.
You're welcome, by the way.
I'm sorry?
You're welcome, by the way.
Well, it certainly needed an upgrade, but we still have his picture there. Where's John Seal when we want him? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else in favor of this project? Last time, anyone in favor of this project? I'm going to close that portion. Anyone opposed to this project? Anyone opposed to this project? Anyone opposed to this project? Close that portion. Entertain a motion to close public
Make a
hearing.
motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing has been seconded. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilman DeFlorio?
Actually, former Alderman Parisi brought up a very good question. How do we know if Verizon has given them the authority to do this? Is this something the city looks into? Is this something that the building inspector looks into?
Ms. Clerk, do you have an answer for that?
If they give them permission for the, and why they didn't?
No, not why they didn't. Are they giving
If
them
they-
permission to do this work on all three items?
So the reason they are going on the side street is Verizon only gave them permission for the main road, if I'm not mistaken, and not allowing them on the dead end. Is that, am I mistaken on that? So it is, they only had the conduit that they could give. So some of them have extra conduit. So they allowed them on the main road to do it because it's a larger street. On the dead end streets, they just don't have it to give them the extra space.
But where they're doing this work on a dead-end street, they still have to connect to the main, on the main road. Do they have the okay from Verizon to do so?
I believe
Right,
that's
because-
what
yeah.
they were saying, where Verizon brought them so far.
Okay.
Well, now, their work they want to do brings them the rest of the way down these dead-end streets. Is that correct?
Okay. I just want to clarify that. All right. So favorable action with the conditions?
Same conditions.
Same conditions.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have motion for favorable action with the same conditions as items 2 and 3, 1 and 2. Favorable action has been seconded. Clerk will read the roll.
Counsel Capone.
Yes.
Counselor De La Sola.
Yes.
Counsel DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counsel DePiero.
Yes.
Counselor Marchese.
Yes.
Counselor Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Napolitano.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. President.
You have passed item number 3. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to open public participation. Good. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. We're going to open the public participation.
Motion open public participation.
Yep, we're all set. Sir, just so you know, the membership here is not, we're not allowed to speak. You have
I know
up to 2
that.
minutes to speak. Great.
I know that.
Welcome.
Okay, I have 3 things. The first one is that the business doesn't go on TV anymore. The sheet that I got in front of me for tonight's 47 pieces does not show up before the meeting on the TV. And the second thing is, I can't hear you gentlemen and ladies speaking, or who's up and where I am right now. You can't hear them at home. Okay, I just want to be on public for saying that. Then the second piece I have is about 3 years ago, the city council approved money to the fire department for their washers and dryers. Okay? And they do not have them yet. Now, if you saw it on TV a few weeks back, brave firefighters on Channel 25 about cancer, when they come back from a fire to the firehouse, they should be allowed to take their gear off and put it in the wash machine so they don't get cancer. Okay, the third piece I have is that people that are on oxygen in their houses, there's no signs saying that this house has oxygen. Okay, I'm gonna give you an example. If a Morris Street fire, there was a flashback. And if someone in that building was on oxygen, we would have problems. Okay, I used to be an auxiliary fireman, so I know what I'm talking about. And most of you gentlemen and ladies know me, and that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming up. Okay, is there anyone else for public participation? Have a motion and a second to close public participation. All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Clerk? Anything like that would normally be conducted by the mayor's office. I'm not aware of anything. Does any of our members have any information on that?
I guess we
Okay.
can find out.
The mayor's office
and-
is still open, though. Okay. I apologize. I wish we had more information, but right now we don't. Thank you for coming up. Okay, does clerk have a sign-in sheet?
I do. There's 5 members of the administration, 4 members of the administration, and 1 other member here.
Just go
We have
right down
Mr.
the
St.
list.
Louis, the director of DPW, has 4 items, but only 2 of them we're going to have taken up. The other 2 are going to be
Committee.
stayed in committee.
Okay. Okay, if you will read the first item.
I would say we're going to take it out of order and take the later one first, because there's a presentation, if that's all right, Mr. President?
Absolutely.
And take item number, it's number 35, just so you know.
Okay, so you need a motion to suspend the rules, take item number, you said 35?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 35.
Item number 35 is an order offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president to authorize a green solar energy purchase agreement for a 20-year contract with Syncarpia Solar LLC under the Massachusetts DOER SMART program for community shared solar development.
Could I have a motion to have Mr. St. Louis before us? A second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilman DeFlorio?
Chairman, this is something new for us, and not to have, not to offend anybody. I really believe something like this should go to committee, because I think there's going to be a lot of questions on this. This is something that we shouldn't agree right away. We need a lot of information, which I know they're willing to be here and give us information, but sometimes based on information, it's going to give us time to do our research. So my recommendation is that I'm going to make a motion to send it to committee, and this would go in public safety? Or a committee as a whole. Maybe it would be better to do it as a committee as a whole.
Okay, I think that's a valid point. Is there a timetable or time frame? Are we at some type of timetable with this?
Yes.
Could you give us a rough idea of what that is?
Well, the Public Services Office and the Purchasing Office have been working on crafting a deal for some time. There's pending legislation being approved under the SMART program where regulations are promulgated in the next month or so. And the first block of this program has additional financial incentives. So the first ones out of the gate receive the most financial benefit. There's a number of different organizations and municipalities vying for the same block, if you will. Some of those parties are competing for the same block as we are, and I would say it is time sensitive. I don't know how much Syncarpha and REM can divulge as to other prospective buyers, but certainly I think it'd be worth hearing the presentation and then proceeding accordingly.
Councilor, you still have the floor.
Would it make a difference if we voted on this tonight or Thursday night? We could call for a special meeting for Thursday night, and we could vote on it at the same time. Is that correct?
Councilman, just for the record, we have two committee meetings Thursday night. We have Government Ops, I believe, at 6 o'clock, and there's a work, and Legislative Affairs has a work group meeting at the same time frame. Could do it next Monday as well.
If we held this over to next Monday and voted on it at the same time, would there be an issue?
I think with all due respect, I mean, it is a sensitive issue. I mean, in some ways, I prefer to go through the presentation just to give you a little sense, but this is a portfolio of solar projects that are being developed in central Massachusetts. And the credits that are the issue of this power purchase agreement are for sale. We've been working with Greg for 6 months and the mayor's office.
So why won't you, all due respect, why don't you come to us earlier?
Well,
Could have called for a special meeting.
there's a number of different items that need to be hashed out, and with the regulations coming forth soon, now is the time to act and make sure that we're getting the best deal for the city.
If I could, from the chair, and again, Councilman, I'm not going to take from your time on this, the original motion was for Mr. St. Louis to come up before us. If the remaining members could introduce yourselves, and so give us an idea of who you are and what your involvement in this project is.
Great. Brian Copperell, co-founder of Renewable Energy Massachusetts, and we are a local Massachusetts co-developer of solar projects and have worked with Sincarfa for 10 years now.
Just press the button down till the light turns green. Thank you.
Bob Knowles with Renewable Energy, also with Renewable Energy Massachusetts, co-founder with Brian Copperell. And we've been working, as Brian said, for just about 10 years with Sincarfa, and developed a very large portfolio of projects over the last 10 years.
And Keith Akers, Vice President of Development with Sincarfa Solar. Been with the company now for a little over 3 years. Owner-operators of probably over 100 megawatts of solar projects throughout the U.S., with 50 of that being within the Commonwealth.
Councilman DeFlorio, as I wouldn't take away from your time, so go ahead, you still have the floor.
The point I'm trying to make, Mr. President, you could tell me I'm wrong. If we're going to sit here and listen to a presentation for 20 minutes, how long is this presentation?
I think it's 5 or 6 minutes. We can.
Okay, 5 or 6 minutes. We may look at this presentation, everything might be fine, so we give them the courtesy. But if things are not fine, I still want it to go to committee. We have to have the right to understand what the future is with the solar, if they're dangerous, where they're going, and so on and so on. We still have the right to do our research. And I understand there's money out there, we don't want to lose out the money. And now they're saying it's time sensitive. Well, if they've had 6 months, I can't see why they couldn't call for a special meeting last week. So these are things that, should be thought out from now on. That if there's something important, it's time sensitive, anybody in the administration could call for a meeting, you could call for a special meeting, even if we're on vacation, it doesn't mean we're not around. We are always around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, to me, you want to do the presentation, that's fine, but if there's too many hands going up and there are too many questions, I'm going to recommend it goes to committee. I don't care if we have to wait 2 weeks for a meeting. Thank you.
And just for clarification to you folks who are up here, the main concern for the members of this is because our agenda has been so heavy the last 3 meetings, we've been getting in here after midnight, leaving this chambers. For that reason, we all have full-time jobs that we have to answer to as well the very next morning. So that's why we're trying to be be conscious about time-sensitive matters. Now, granted, we're taking time up discussing this, but that's because, again, we're trying to develop new ways to manage these processes. Usually presentations like this come up and the questions are asked in a committee format, or in a case if it's a large enough project through a committee of the whole where the council comes back in specifically to discuss and vote on that particular issue. So.
And I apologize if I didn't ask for a special committee to address those concerns.
Yeah, anytime a special committee can be conducted either by the mayor's office, I can call for a special committee as council president, and or a number of members can collectively call for a meeting. So we do work more than just our regular scheduled. All right. Having said that, Councilman Capone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you two, I guess the question was answered about the time frame on the proposal. So what I would recommend is we hear the proposal. It's 5 minutes, and as Councilor DeFlorio said, if it looks like it's involved and it's going to be complex, we can always refer it to a committee. At least if we get the presentation and we do end up postponing it, at least we have the information. We can get our questions in between, get them answered, and go from there. The only thing that I would point out, and I'm sure our guests weren't aware, whenever we do any kind of a PowerPoint presentation or anything like this, it's supposed to be a hard copy on the desk so we can follow along with it. So that's just for future reference.
Which I believe they have. Okay. All right. Councilman DePiero. Okay. No, that's great. All right. Where I have no speakers at this time, if you please continue your presentation. Thanks.
That's a good question. I don't review this that often, so.
Good evening. And again, Brian Copperell, co-founder of Renewable Energy Massachusetts, and our co-development partners from Sincarfa up from New York. Just picked them up on the Acela train and Back Bay Station. So this is a power purchase agreement concept for and proposal for the City of Everett under the Massachusetts DOER Community Shared Solar Project program, which has been in operation for several years now in Massachusetts. The second page is a basic statement of the track record that Keith alluded to. Sincarfa has a long track record over the last 10 years, financing, constructing, operating facilities all across the United States, but most concentrated here in Massachusetts, over 50 megawatts of solar projects. This third slide, just quickly, this just goes to show we've done this a lot. We've done this in many, many towns across Massachusetts. Just wanted to give you the basic bona fides that we know what we're doing. We've got construction firms that know how to build these on our behalf. We have the financing in place, debt and equity sources all lined up. Same combination of firms that are providing the financing will do so again. Just some examples in Palmer on a former landfill, in Hancock Shaker Village, a community shared solar project out there, just to show you bona fides and a picture that this is real. This is not just a bunch of paper. In fact, panels out in Western Mass operating today. Community solar is a concept, a policy initiative of the state to make sure that the benefits of solar don't just stay local to where the projects are located. And in fact, to deliver the solar benefits of credits that we're talking about tonight to towns, cities like Everett that don't have 20 and 30 acres of land to host solar facilities. So the Commonwealth also wants to make sure that individual residents and small businesses also participate. So that's why community solar is there to distribute the benefits of solar widely and not just into the towns where facilities are located. There will be no panels in Everett. Right? All these projects that we're talking about, Sincarfa and REM are co-developing. If you just look, right, there's 11 projects in 8 towns, from the west in Northampton, Westminster, Warren, Northbridge. You can see them all in highlights, Halifax, Tewksbury. So 8 National Grid towns, 11 projects, all large megawatt scale facilities to be constructed starting in October when the launch of the SMART program, which is the 3rd generation of solar in Massachusetts, when that launches by the DPU. The legislation has already been passed. It's just a matter of the DPU launching the final tariff regulations. When that happens, our construction teams are ready to go. Financing is lined up, and that'll be about a 6-month construction process, which is consistent with our past experience. So by the time second quarter of next year comes around, credits can begin to start issuing. The energy will start flowing, and the credits will go with them. The concept of a power purchase agreement is rather straightforward. It has 3 steps to it here on this slide here. Right? The first is that the projects end up delivering energy, and a whole lot of it, all across Massachusetts in 11 different projects to National Grid. Grid takes those electrons and uses them, sells them as energy to where the local grid needs are, and in exchange for that, they don't get it for free, right? They end up issuing credits, and those credits are valued at the supply cost of energy, which today is 10.8 cents. Those credits are now in Sincarfa's hands. And what does Sincarfa do? Sincarfa doesn't need them. They need to get them to consumers, like the City of Everett, to purchase those credits, right? To monetize those credits. They're dollar denominated, they're National Grid credits, and they will be used to offset the City of Everett's energy bills. The City of Everett has $2.8 million in energy bills for Mr. St. Louis, and we will be selling you $2 million, round numbers, $2 million of credits. They will fluctuate in value. Every 6 months, that supply cost that sets the value of the credits will adjust modestly. But the point is the discount that the city will purchase them at is fixed. It's a fixed discount, 1.5 cents. So today, we're selling you 10.8 cents of dollars, right? We're talking credits. We're not selling you electrons. All we're doing is selling you credits, National Grid. 10.8 cents, you buy them for 9.3. We do it millions of times over, and that's how you end up with your $2 million of credits then apply to your energy bill to pay it down, and you pay what? $1.72 million in a year, which gives you a savings of $278,000 on average. We do it for 20 years, multiply 20 times 275, and it's $5.5 million of energy savings over those 20 years. And the city of Everett has spent, right, zero in municipal services to realize that benefit. So it is a substantial transaction. It is simple. Again, we're just selling you credits. We're not selling you electrons. We're selling you credits. They are valued at 10.8 cents. It adjusts modestly with the price of energy, but it doesn't matter because the savings rate is fixed. It doesn't change at any point in the term of the contract. It's a very simple transaction. And it's for 20 years. Why is it for 20 years? Because the financing requires it, right? These are expensive systems. We've got 11 projects, multi-million-dollar contract to construct them. And in order to finance that, Keith Akers will confirm, right, the financing sources need to see contracted revenues for the 20-year term. That's where the city of Everett gives its full faith and credit that it will pay for the credits as they are issued. If we don't issue credits because the solar is cloudy or we don't issue as many, right, you only pay for what gets delivered to your National Grid bills. And they come on a monthly basis. Grids apply to your various accounts, and then Sincarfa sends you a bill for that discount for each one of those credits that gets applied to your accounts. 20-year terms of PPAs are totally standard, solar industry standard. We're not making this up. All over the Commonwealth, transactions a 20-year term, and all of our PPAs before, for all those projects that I mentioned earlier on, they were all 20-year term PPAs. And again, it allows the city to bank on its budget of energy savings of $275,000 for the next 20 years. And then this last slide is just to show you some representative towns and municipalities around Massachusetts that have signed similar contracts. Worcester and Haverhill and Billerica and Leominster and Gardner. The list goes on and on. Actually, the vast majority of towns, municipalities, have signed these contracts. And of course, because they have great credits to stand behind those power purchase agreements. That's why they're attractive off-takers. And then other institutions as well. UMass and Worcester State University has been the off-taker in one of our transactions. So very, very tested model. And now I'm happy to answer any questions or my colleagues. I'm sorry, one last point. I apologize. The basic question of time sensitivity. Sincarfa is actively in the market, as you can imagine, to sell these credits. The timing of the launch of the program is expected to be in October. We need to have all of our ducks lined up, right? The financing sources will look to have all these PPA contracts with the anchor off-taker, like the city of Everett, and likely another off-taker. We have 3 parties that are competing, so it is in fact time sensitive. So having worked this long, I want Everett to receive these benefits, and I wouldn't want, there's a large company, and I'm just going to be honest about that. So I don't want them taking it when we've worked this hard with Greg St. Louis and the mayor's office. So that's why the time sensitivity. Apologize, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Councilman Del Sol.
So let me get this concept straight. The city uses so much energy, correct?
$2.8 million in energy every year.
Okay. Your program's going to sell your solar energy to National Grid, who we're using now, at a discounted rate?
So we will sell the electrons to National Grid, right? They will get that energy, and they'll put it to use to serve customers, right? Municipalities out there in central Massachusetts,
Correct.
And those customers nearby the load.
So it's a less of a load off of them. It's a load off of them producing energy because you're supplying energy to them.
We're
So,
supplying, that's
correct?
right. We're supplying the energy that otherwise, essentially in Massachusetts, 61% of the energy is natural gas sourced.
Correct.
So we are displacing gas power plants in central Massachusetts to supply energy to National Grid. And in exchange for that, they're issuing the credits.
To the customers.
To Sincarfa, for us to then allocate under a contract like this to the city of Everett. And then the city of Everett says, okay, we would like to have the following 30 accounts receive all those, I'm just making that up, the following 30 accounts to receive all these credits, right? And then they will get allocated by National Grid on a monthly basis based on those percentages.
To the homeowners of Everett? So if
Say-
my bill was $500 a month, am I going to see my rate drop down because of you coming in?
This is only municipal accounts.
City only,
City meter itself that feeds us.
exactly.
So here's a crazy question. Why is it just Everett? Is Malden involved and Chelsea? Why Everett?
Well,
Many of those cities and towns have already done power purchase agreements with solar projects, so unfortunately, we have spoken to quite a few of them, but they have no more capacity left, and because Everett hasn't done anything like this before, there's plenty of capacity there for the city to do this with us.
So part of the background with the state is the previous SREC programs, which you may have heard of, you had to be in the same zone as the solar field. So Everett being so close to Boston, nobody's putting solar fields for us to be an off-taker of their energy. This latest program allows that use across National Grid boundaries so that we're now eligible to fall into this program. So you're probably going to see a number of other urban communities sign up where they weren't previously eligible.
So it's only for the meter that feeds the city. So the homeowner, it's just at home, the people at home are watching this. The homeowner's not going to see a discount in their electric bill, correct?
That is correct under what we're talking about here with the PPA with the city. However, what I will say, not to get too far off track, all these projects that we're talking about that Brian mentioned were all community shared solar projects. So while we can sell up to 50% of that output to large off-takers like the city, the other 50% we have to sell to retail customers, so residential customers of National Grid. So there is an opportunity for residents of Everett to participate from any number of these 11 and actually save money on their bills as well. But that's a separate contract, a separate conversation, not directly related with this contract. But there is the opportunity there, correct.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilman Capone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just two quick questions. First, you did mention in your presentation, no solar panels in Everett,
that's right.
ever.
None.
Is there anything in the contract, the agreement, that says in the event that you need to install solar panels, that Everett could become a viable spot?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And then the second question I have is, you had mentioned that there was some competition going on. There were 3 parties, I think you said, were vying?
Again, we are actively, REM and Sincarfa, and also marketing agents. It's a big contract. It's 50% of the energy we've got to sell, right, in order to get these things constructed and get the financing lined up, right? So we are actively in the marketplace. We have spoken to many cities, towns.
Okay.
We have spoken to many higher education institutions, companies, all sorts of off-takers. No one is as far along as Everett.
Okay.
One other is.
Okay.
But as I said, you're only going to take about half of our anchor, right? So there is absolutely room. But there are other entities out there, and that are actively looking at this same opportunity. And the first that takes.
Okay.
And those who don't. And I'm not making.
No, and I
Yeah,
appreciate that. That's why I'm trying to get the sense of urgency.
Yeah.
How many takers, I guess depends on the size, before you're capped out with
So-
regards to your supply?
Keith confirmed, but round numbers, the total anchor capacity is average of $4 million worth of credits, and you'll be taking half of that. Round
Okay.
numbers, please. And so after we've sold those $4 million, we're done. And then the balance, the other $4 million, will be to residential and small in the strip off-takes, right, those small strips, but that's not going to be available for the city of Everett.
Okay, so there's 4 that's available. Out of these folks that are vying for this, what kind of capacity are they looking to draw?
Similar and larger.
Okay, all right. And you're looking, obviously, to do this sooner than later. And the folks is one other entity that might be as far along as our community is.
And another that I would say is
Get
is
there
less,
shortly.
The other is, I would say less bureaucratic and a corporation that can move. So
Okay. All right.
it may be a different speed in terms of their takeoff. So
Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions.
Councilor Marchese.
How are you? Quick question on, I guess the page you have up there right now.
Okay.
So what you're saying is we would be paying 9.3 cents right now?
Right.
Per kilowatt hour, whatever, I believe
That's
that,
right.
right? So that would stay fixed for the year. If that went up to 20.8, we only get 1.5% discount on that, right?
So let's go through that, because
Yep.
this is the key, right? There is variability, right? So energy rates move.
Sure.
Right? They've been at 14, they've been at 7, right, over the last 15 years. And now they're at 10.8. And in winter, they often spike, right?
Yep.
So anyways, but it comes at different times. So at 14, right, the credits are coming at 14, your purchase will be north of 2 million, right, which is why we built in a buffer. And we had
What is the $2 million buffer? Explain that to me.
Yeah. So 2.8 million is the amount of energy billing that the city of Everett pays for, right?
Okay.
And we have struck this at 2 million, right?
So part of the
So-
background to that is to allow the city future capacity for other deals or for putting solar on top of a school. There's other energy efficiencies coming online through street lighting projects.
Okay, so it says we receive $2 million a year in credits.
Right.
And what's the $2 million in credits worth? Is it worth $2 million or is it worth $275?
The savings is that discount. So the average at today's rate, right, 10.8 cents.
Yep.
We're selling it to you for 9.3.
Yep.
That's worth 2 million in credits at that rate, and we would sell it to you for 1.72 million. So the savings is the delta, right? It's 2 million minus 1.72 is $278,000. And that's where you multiply that by 20 years, that's where the $5.5 million of total benefit comes.
And what was the 2.8 figure you were throwing around?
That is the energy budget of the city of Everett today.
That's okay.
This last year. And so therefore, we struck the size of the transaction at 2 million to be
Yep.
considerably below the 2.8 million, so that you wouldn't have waste, right? So that you wouldn't end up having credits that would go unused.
Councilman DeFlorio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like I said, there's a lot of questions to be answered. I don't like those solar panels anywhere. Now, we just heard from Mr. St. Clair that maybe in the future we have to put them in the schools. What do those solar panels do to our firemen if they have to put out a fire? There's wires hanging everywhere. There's solar panels all over people's homes. There's just too many questions on this, okay? This is like going for a fixed rate mortgage. You don't know if the rate of electricity is gonna go down, or if the rate of electricity is gonna go up. You're locked in for 20 years. That's a lot of years for a city to be locked into anything.
And we have asked that question of a number of different industry professionals. I've asked that question of the state, and everyone's saying the same thing. That even if a number of different energy efficiencies happened in the future, that we're looking at a fairly static market, and it's going to continue to hover in the range we're at now. We've talked about different facilities coming online maybe 10 years from now. So there's certainly a couple $1 million to be saved in the next 10 years without waiting on a hope and a dream that certain other hydro projects happen or other projects happen. I think it's in the city's interest not to stall and hope that 10 years out we come across a better deal when we were able to negotiate a good deal today.
I think
I think we need more, I'm sorry, I personally need more time on this. So to me, I don't want to vote no on it. If I'm forced to vote on this tonight, I will vote no.
so. I wanted.
So that's my opinion, I'll leave it up to the board. I need to do a little more research, and I need to think. Because when something is time-sensitive, we could have at least got the materials at our home. So we could have had the time to ask the questions before the meeting. I didn't have that ability, and I'm not ready to vote on it tonight. All due respect. Thank you.
Councilman McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank these individuals for coming this evening, but I couldn't agree more with my colleague from Ward 5. I absolutely do not have enough information to make a sound decision on this tonight. You're talking about 20-year commitment of anything. Needs a lot of time and a lot of detail, a lot of information. I've asked this question in the past, and the mayor has said to ask for him. Is the mayor in the building? Because I'd like to hear from him directly. He's the one that's going to negotiate into a 20-year agreement with
My
these
motion is
individuals.
to send it to committee.
That's correct, and that's why
We're
and
going to
that's my
stop all,
question.
all due respect.
Because
we're gonna stop all-
I want the mayor to
I
be
don't have a
invited.
second. I need a second.
I want
Second the
mayor to
motion.
be invited.
Second the motion. So this will go to committee with
All
a
right, so
second,
right now, the
invite
motion,
mayor?
if I could, so right now, the motion on the floor is, okay, if I could, right now, Council McLaughlin has the floor. I didn't recognize or get a second prior to you finish speaking, so please, Council McLaughlin, please
Thank you,
continue.
Mr. Chairman, it was my only statement was that I'd like to hear from the mayor directly to see what he thinks on this, and I believe in his department heads, but I'd like to hear from him. So if we send this to committee, which I believe is the right thing to do, I want him to appear here personally himself to discuss this with us. Thank you.
My
Okay,
motion
so
was
the-
going to be to send.
So there is a
invite the mayor.
motion on the floor that has not been seconded as at this time to send this to a committee.
Let's excuse the
Second.
customary thanks
Second.
first, I'm
So I have a
sorry.
motion to excuse the guests, customary
So moved.
thanks. It's been second. All in favor?
Aye.
Committee as a
Opposed?
whole.
The ayes have it. Okay, all right, let's clarify what the motion is. What is the motion?
The motion is to send this to committee as a whole, invite the mayor, the gentleman, and Mr. St. Clair.
Okay.
St. Louis, I'm sorry.
And do I have a second on that motion? Okay, on the motion, Council Capone.
On the motion, I would also
The
ask that...
savings chart, yeah.
Okay, I would ask that we expedite that as quickly as possible, given the time frame that we heard. I'd also like the city solicitor, and I don't know if we asked for the mayor, but I'd like the city solicitor there as well, because it is a 20-year agreement. I want to make sure that she's had an opportunity to review it, and that there are any issues that we're going to address those.
Okay, so the motion as stated right now is to send this to a committee of the whole at a most earliest convenience, invite the guests, the sponsors, the mayor's office, the city solicitor. Did I leave anyone out?
Yeah, engineer.
Bring the savings chart, and and the mayor and all necessary information. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number, thank you. Clerk will read the next item that...
Excuse me, Mr. President. If you clarify for our guests when that date is?
We'll have to speak with the
Clerk
clerk
to
of committees, and he'll name the date very soon. The second I have it, I will inform you, or the clerk will.
I believe Wednesday is too soon for it to be
Yeah,
posted.
we can't do it, we can't even do it this week, because
So
we already
the-
have a committee meeting
we'll-
on Thursday.
we'll be
so
targeting
be
for
sometime
Monday
next week. Can't
at-
do next Monday either.
We can't?
No, because you already have a committee meeting, and our rules say that you can't have two committee meetings on the same evening.
What
So we'd
time
be
is that
breaking our
committee
rules.
meeting?
Yeah, that would be up to the membership and the clerk, so you can discuss that after, but rightfully, our rules say no, we can't have two meetings in the same evening. No, it can't be in the same evening. It's a rule. Mr.
Okay, we're going to be working on changing that committee that's scheduled for Monday so we can have this, hear it on Monday night. Okay, because I recognize the expedience of that. But at this moment, we can't give you an answer on that. Clerk will get back to you on that.
ASAP.
Yeah, as long as we have a quorum. Is there any problem with anyone not being able to make it next Monday? Okay, great, thank you.
And just to clarify, the council would have voting capacity at that time? Yes. Or it comes
Repeat
back
that?
to the floor?
Could you repeat that?
It's a committee. Committees cannot make a final decision, so it would have to come back out to a special.
Special meeting.
No, you said a committee of the whole, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I wrote. Did we not ask for a committee of the whole? That is, a committee cannot make a final decision.
All right, but a special meeting can't. So if I, let's clear this up, because again, this is a time-sensitive issue. Okay? Let's bring this back, make a motion to reconsider it, and then we're going to, with the motion, the correct motion will be to refer this to a special meeting of the city council. At that special meeting, we can vote on the order, where a committee of the whole, we cannot. It's only a committee. Okay? Do I have a
Put that in
motion?
the form of a motion, invite the individuals we spoke about, that way we can...
Let's bring it up first. Do I have a motion to
I'll rescind my motion.
Yep.
No, we've
you already
already
voted.
voted on. We
Oh,
have to
that's
bring it
right.
back
Yeah.
first.
So it's been moved and second to reconsider.
Okay, we have a motion to reconsider. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Actually, you need a roll for that, for reconsideration?
No, reconsideration.
As long as we get a voice vote.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, your pleasure.
I submit that motion, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, that we set it forward for a special meeting to be determined, the date to be determined, inviting the individuals that were mentioned earlier.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. So we're
Thank you.
targeting for Monday night. We'll be able to vote on this Monday night.
Thank you very much.
Because of that meeting. Thank you. Okay, and there's another piece of business for
Yes,
Mr. St. Louis?
item number 18, Mr. St. Louis is also here for.
Suspend the rules, take item number 18.
We have a motion to suspend the rules, take item number 18. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 18.
Item number 18, Mr. President, is a order offered by Council Peter A. Napolitano as president. Be it ordered that the Everett City Council hereby accepts the provisions of Chapter 44, Section 53G of Massachusetts General Laws, which allows for the imposition of reasonable fees for the employment of outside contractors. I would like to state that in committee, they did grant some further time, but they also made an amendment at my recommendation to not only make it 53G, but also 53G and a half, at the bequest of our city CFO.
Gentlemen, your pleasure. Council McLaughlin.
My only question, Mr. President, is if they've requested further time in committee, do we actually have something before us this evening, or are they still working on it in committee?
There was a motion for grant further time, but it was mostly to speak to the CFO and review the piece, and Mr. St. Louis.
So
The
that-
CFO was here, and Mr. St. Louis, so I think you were looking for that information that you wanted, so if you.
So we
if you
should
want
table this for two.
If they're
we should-
here, and they were not very in-depth pieces, they're very minute state laws, they have like, I don't know, about a paragraph each, so it's up to you as a
Council
board,
McLaughlin's
what
got
you'd
the
like to
floor.
do.
Council McLaughlin, you
I
still
think
have the floor.
the prudent thing is to make a motion to table this for our next meeting and allow the committee to continue to work on their questioning before it comes out of, for a vote. Grant further time in committee.
All right, so in that case, are you making that in form of a motion? Just to keep it in committee? Second. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read the next item on the list.
The other two are going to stay in committee, so no more for Mr. St. Louis.
Excuse the customary thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. St. Louis. Have a good evening.
Um,
It's always nice to see someone go home.
Next up is going to be item number 12. Mr. Nazzo from ISD is here on this. Item number 12.
Okay, accept
Mr. President, is
Take
an...
take a motion to suspend the rules.
Okay,
Take item
sorry.
number 12. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 12.
Mr. President, item number 12 is an ordinance offered by Councilor Michael K. Marchese to amend by deleting Section 10-27 inspection request before occupancy of Article 3 Certificate of Habitability. That was the one that you had before Mr. Nez was here to discuss it with you.
Okay, we have a motion to have Mr. Nuzzle come up
Motion
before
to
us.
have Mr. Nuzzle come before us.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Frank.
Yeah. Used to the old days.
Those are the old days.
Oh, yeah, special. Good evening. If you could just give your names for the record, please. Just press it to green.
Hi, Frank.
Don't have to hold it down. Just hold down, and then you don't have to hold it down. There you go.
Frank Nuzzo, Director of Code Enforcement. Boy, I got to come here more often. Yes.
Be careful what you ask for.
Jim Soper, Director of Inspectional Services.
Good evening. Councilor Marchese.
Yep, as the last meeting, welcome there tonight. As the last meeting, we were talking about trying to delete this 100% from it, which I didn't have a problem with, and I know Mr. Hanlon didn't have a problem with, but after carefully thinking about it, I don't think it should be deleted, but I think it should, we have it still in committee, I believe, and we're trying to put the proper words that actually protects the house owner a little bit from having something rampant go on. It's just more or less, we'll say, anything other than the piece of, wherever the New tenant can go in the house, whether it be in the halls and everything, that's open game, but anything else after that will be at the discretion of the landlord. And that's where this is heading, Frank. We're not going to delete it, we're going to try to add some word for a little protection for the landlord. And that's what we're looking at. We know there's a safety issue, which Mr. Sopa mentioned at the last one, but we're just trying to put something in place here so that an open door doesn't lead to a rush judgment on the landlord. And that's all. So, I mean, we'll have something better presented to you in, I believe, 2 weeks. Our next meeting, administrative. The Administrative Affairs meeting, next one.
Legislative Affairs?
Yeah, when, do you know when, probably be
That
another
would
2
be
weeks?
Mr. Burley, is it Thursday? Yes. That's next Thursday.
Probably next Thursday, and we'll have something to follow on Monday. And, you know, so there's not going to be, we're not trying to delete it, we're just trying to put some words in there for protection for the landlords on this one. And I'll yield to Councilman McLaughlin if he's the next one.
Councilman McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I don't know if it's allowed, but can Councilor Marchese just quickly tell me what the difference would be if we were to delete this entirety or just section 3 of this
Through
briefly?
the chair, Councilman Marchese, if you could.
Not through the chair. Well, let me get this correct. Is this an automatic thing that has to be done? Is this a shall or is it a maybe?
In the ordinance?
On the ordinance. And I'm not, let me see. I'm trying to think if it reads here. If anybody's familiar with that.
Are you talking about the actual ordinance?
The actual ordinance, Frank, the section.
I have section 10-27.
And what does it say regarding the
Inspection request
inspection?
before occupancy.
Special request.
No, inspection request before occupancy.
Okay.
I can make
But it's not,
Yeah, so, would you like, yeah, so it says the owner must request a legal use of status from the building department of the city of Everett. Application fee is due at the time of the request for the city of Everett. The fee shall be determined by the Board of Health of the city of Everett.
so a must doesn't shall, right?
Owners, well, there's a shall, there's a may. We don't usually use must
But
very
we use
much
shall.
in our ordinances. It probably should have been shall or may.
Okay.
So that's the language we're
So
supposed to use.
it's not required to have that unless it says shall.
Well, I mean, I don't know the
May-
definition fully of must, but I'm gonna say it's closer to shall than it is may. So a
Yep.
must means you must, you
You
have
must.
to. That's my,
Yep.
that's my.
What?
My determination, but I mean, you can ask.
So we
I think
need
I'm
to
correct.
do a little work on it, and present it before this board in another 2 weeks. So I request this be referred back to the grant further time on this piece.
Right, my understanding from the clerk is that the piece is still in committee.
It
so
is.
This is an opportunity to speak on it. The correct motion would be no action at this time and to keep it in committee.
Okay, so the grant further time in the committee?
Yes.
So the motion be grant further time in the committee.
Okay, let's excuse our guests first.
Thanks, Frank, but
Thank
sorry.
you. Customary test, thank you. All right, so we have a motion for no action to keep this in committee. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And just for clarification, I know somebody stepped out. The question of whether or not we could have conflicting meetings on Monday night, because, you're right, our rules prevent having multiple committee meetings, but a special meeting of the city council does not apply to that. So we will be scheduling that special meeting for the last piece for Monday night, 7 o'clock. Okay? Okay? And we'll make sure that the members that stepped out are aware of that. Okay, but everybody get that on your agenda. We have Ways and Means at 6, so as we were discussing, 7 o'clock would be the time to do it.
The next item is 34, if you'd like that.
You show me item 6. We have a motion to suspend the rules, take item number 34. It's been seconded. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 34.
Item number 34 is an ordinance offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president to delete section 23, Appendix A in its entirety, and moving into revised ordinances, Chapter 4, Section 4-1C of the revised ordinances. Sorry.
Council McLaughlin.
Again, Mr. President, I apologize, I'm not on the committee, so I don't really know what what this information means. If somebody could just give me a brief, couple of word description.
Mr.
Ask
Soap
the
is
clerk
here
to
to explain this, if he'd like to come up, but it's pretty much just removing the, this is going right to the planning board, so I just want you to know before you send it. So there's a zoning change. All we're doing is we're asking to take the fees out of zoning to make it easier when we need to make an amendment. So they're going to go into the general revised ordinances. So we don't have to send things to planning every time we want to change a fee for building fees. That's all. We're taking out of one. We're going to request the planning board do it. They should send it back, and we'll have that same planning board votes, public hearings and et cetera. But this has to go to the planning board. It's just to make it much easier and streamlined when you have to amend a fee for the building department. Currently, they're all in zoning, and every time you want to amend it, you have to send it down the hall to planning, and you have that multiple-month process.
So who will have control over?
We're the city council. We're in charge. We're still in charge now, but planning also has a say. It's both. Now it will be strictly the city council with recommendations from the administration going forward.
And the planning board will be excluded
Correct.
at that point of this?
Right.
Thank
Right. It just streamline things.
Thank you.
Okay? I hope I explained it well, Jim.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, could we invite up Mr. Soper? I think he wants to share some other info with us.
Do I have a motion to invite Ms. Soper up? It's been seconded. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Ms. Soper, please join us.
Jim Soper, Director of Inspectional Services. Good evening.
Okay, Mr. McLaughlin, Councilman McLaughlin, you still have a few minutes on the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, through you, Mr. Soper, if you have any additional information you'd like to share other than what City Clerk Corneli just shared, be our guest. I'd like to hear it.
Thank you, Mr. Counselor. So the issue here is that any changes that we currently want to make in building, plumbing, or electrical permits have to go through the process of a public hearing at the planning board level and then come back to the council for a public hearing again before we can change any of these fees. So I'd like to be able to streamline this so that doesn't have to happen. In the future, in the next month or two, I'm going to be proposing changes in fees, adding fees that we don't have. For instance, we don't have a fee that many other communities have that allows us to charge for plan review. So for instance, as it is right now, if I get a set of plans for a 10-unit building, we spend a lot of time inter-office reading, going over those plans and the specifications. We don't receive $1 for that till the permit is issued. Now, the permit may not be issued for some reason. There's a zoning issue after that. So what I'd like to institute is, and I'll show you how many of the other communities surrounding have instituted this, a reasonable fee for us to pay a building inspector who could be out in the street doing his regular business. He's typically here on Fridays, reviewing plans on Fridays. The city should be reimbursed for that time that building inspector is taking on Fridays to do it. And that's one of the things I seek. I want to make sure that because of our computer program that we have, it's a little bit easier for us to assess permit fees for electrical and plumbing. Right now, we individually check off each fixture and the permit, and it's figured out through the computer. I'd like it to be a little bit more streamlined like other communities have, so that the builder, the contractor has a little bit knowledge about what they're doing before they come in and get surprised. So I want to be able to communicate better with others. And taking that public hearing process out of it from the planning board and taking it out from the council expedites this, and you still have control over all this. So that's the avenue.
Any other members have any other questions? Your pleasure.
Thank you.
All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it.
The correct motion is to refer to planning.
Refer to planning. We have a motion and seconded to send this to the planning board. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read the next item on the list.
I'm not sure if the chief is still here yet. Item number 29. Okay, so the next item.
Item 29 on the chief?
Is, yes, so if you'd like to take that out of order.
I could take that, but, and I'll be very brief on it.
So we have a motion to waive, suspend the rules, take item number 29. Do we have a second? All in favor? The ayes have it.
Item number 29, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Wayne A. Matusky that the police department provide info on nuisance properties.
Councilman Matusky.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had a discussion along with Councilwoman Rosa DeFlorio. At the beginning of the summer, we received some calls about troubled houses, nuisance calls, and the chief filled me in along with Melissa from the Information Department of the police, I don't forget her correct title. Crime analyst.
Yep.
Yep.
And together, they said the problem hasn't been too bad this year. At the beginning of the summer, it seemed like it might be, but Councilwoman Rosa DeFlorio and myself, we were thinking in terms of the landlord being notified if their tenant was loud music and partying on a continual basis, but the chief said that it hasn't been that bad this year. And for some reason, it has subsided. But some apartment buildings do have issues, and of course, the tenants are close to each other. But I want to thank the chief of police for filling us in on this important matter. I'm glad I got the information from him tonight. So I'd like to refer this back to sponsor, and I want to thank the chief and the crime analyst, crime analyst department. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have a motion, second, to refer this back to sponsor. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Ms. Clerk, is there anyone else on the list?
Mr. Tarko, but he's not here, so no.
Okay, so we'll revert back to regular order of business. Clerk, read item number 4.
Before we get back to regular business, any chance we could take the pieces up and get our people home tonight that we have here?
We've actually gone through the list. Is there anyone?
Unless someone didn't sign in for another piece.
I know number 19 is a piece that it has
No,
the...
that's fine, Mr. Counselor. I just don't have it on my list, that's all.
Can I make a motion?
Suspend the rules,
to
take
suspend
item
the rules,
number
take item 19? Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion to suspend the rules, take item number 19. Second, all in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 19.
Item number 19, Mr. President, is an ordinance offered by Councilor Michael Marchese and Councilor Fred Capone to prohibit any contractor from obtaining any contracts or permits from the city of Everett while a public contracted project they are working on for the city is delayed, unfinished, or over-contracted budget.
Councilor Marchese.
Yes, can we have someone from the, if we could have anybody from the, one of our endeared attorneys, if we could?
We have a motion to invite the city solicitor before us. All in favor?
City solicitor, yeah.
Opposed?
I'm losing it.
The ayes have it.
How are you tonight?
Colleen Mejia, City Solicitor.
Good evening.
I can't even see.
Councilor Marchese.
Good evening, Ms. Mejia.
Good evening.
This is a response that we gave, that I sent to you, that we have here.
Yes.
And the issue I have with it is this, I think it says, if we put the additional work out for bid, the contractor would be prevented from bidding on the work. If this contractor is the most qualified contractor to perform the work, the city could be jeopardized by being forced to award the work to a lesser quality vendor. I don't know, I'm trying to prevent the city from having a lesser quality vendor in the county, man up and assume the responsibility they have. I mean, we've been sitting up at this board and we've been, our hands have been tied because I'm not gonna, I don't want to sound like I'm picking on a particular person, but there was shoddy work done, and 2 or 3 years later, it's still not done. And in the meantime, more shoddy work has been done. And this isn't helping us. It says, additionally, there are safeguards. Well, we're not using the safeguards. I don't know. I know if I was there, I know that I would disqualify someone after a certain thing happened.
Right.
Not encourage it and give more work. So I'm trying to figure out, this is a board here, we're trying to protect people, and we're not getting anything with teeth in it. I mean, we could draw up a ordinance, which I hope we do at our next meeting. But-
I think the idea that you and Councilor Capone have presented is a good one, and I think with the right language, I think it would be great. And I think that, you know, it would protect the city from people who.
Sure, if we
aren't
put
doing it.
something in place, we don't have to,
Yeah.
we don't have to go through that Florence Street Park thing again. That was.
Yeah. But to have a blanket rule that if you already have an ongoing project, you can't bid on something else.
You can do
Would
that.
it- Yeah, I think having a blanket thing preventing it, I think, wouldn't benefit the city.
All right, but what if something was like a red flag about this particular person?
Yeah.
And I mean, they're talking about the most qualified contract to perform the work. Well, it obviously was the most qualified to perform the terrible work. So how does he become qualified to do another job? And that job is also terrible. So, I mean, I want something in place. I mean, that's going to prevent us from ever seeing this again. I mean, there's plenty of parks being done, there's plenty of streets being done, there's going to be a lot of work coming to the city, and I don't think we can allow that. I mean, I got to tell you the truth, there's a certain street off of Main Street that should have been done 2 years ago. It finally got done because we actually had to pull up and get them to do it.
I
That shouldn't
think,
exist.
I think we shouldn't rush to draft language for this ordinance. I think we should take our time so we have the right language in place.
Well, that's what we're looking for from your office.
Yeah.
Because I submitted this back in May or June, and we're just coming before us again now, and I was expecting some language there.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't know you wanted me to draft something.
Well, we can draft something, we want to just make sure that we can do this.
Yeah, you can definitely do it. And
But we're just trying to find that little fine area, like you said,
Yeah.
of, you know, I mean, I don't think someone should be rewarded for doing a terrible job. That's my take.
right, and I think the administration agrees with you.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to find a balance, and we need to find language that allows the city to still award contracts to a contractor that still might have an ongoing project, but that contractor who's bidding on a second project is qualified.
Well-
And the Chapter 30B, Chapter, I think it's 49, and Chapter 139, I think, other three kind of procurement
Yep.
statutes. And all those laws have language that protects cities and towns to be able to disqualify
Yep.
unqualified.
Well, I mean, like, the big thing is, if there's a present job going on and we're having an issue with them, why would we be allowed to bid if we're not getting completion out of the work that should have been done in 6 months? All of a sudden, now we're granting more contracts. That's not a punishment. You know, I can understand if they said, oh, we're waiting for this marble to come in from this part of the world or something. It's not here, it got lost for 6 months. But I mean, you know, to go paint a pool, I mean, come on. I mean, I'll get down there with a roller. I mean, that's not that hard to do. I mean, come on.
And I think
I'll take
Tony
it.
has a good reason for that. I think it's about the climate right now, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
I mean, that's all, I mean, I'll say on it.
Tell Tony to go down and do it with a brush. It'll get done fast.
Tony's busy enough.
Well, I mean, like it says, that, you know, the intention's there, we want what's right for the city of Everett, but we're gonna have to come up with something. And I think maybe at our next meeting, we'll draft an ordinance, and we'll send the ordinance to you, and you can word it, and that's all I'll say, let anybody else ask some questions here. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to our city solicitor. I think you're absolutely right there. It's a valuable piece, and it's something that we want to try to put as another tool in the arsenal for the city to protect its residents, but it has to be properly drafted. And that's why it hasn't been drafted yet, because it's the concept is simple, but as you well know, implementation of it is a little bit more complex. So we're in the process of trying to throw something together, and then once we have that, we'll be sending it to your office, take a look at it, and go from there. I mean, I know there's two schools of thought. You could look at it as you have one of these ordinances. The other school of thought would be you've got your bond, you've got performance by the contractor, and we can move on that more quickly. But I think that there's a good way to blend the two, because if a contractor comes in up front, they know that if they drop the ball in the project, there aren't other projects to grab for whatever the time frame is. I don't think it can be open-ended forever. It would have to be for a term of years. And, it can't be too excessive. But the reality is we want to make sure that when people are doing work for the community, that the community is being protected. And we can do that in a lot of different ways. But when we figure out exactly how to phrase this, we will be sending it to you, and we'll be looking for your input. So thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Councilman Del Sol.
I'm just going to roll with that, what Council Capone was saying and Council Marchese. If we send you something, you could draft it yourself and then send it back to us.
I think Councilor Capone is probably going to throw some ideas or some language at me, and then, I can kind of look at it, and I'll probably actually run it by someone like Tony Souza and
Okay.
Ask him to collaborate.
All right.
Mind. Just so there's another set of eyes on it to kind of go over scenarios, so we can protect the city.
I think it's a great piece, way overdue. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Excuse the custom, can I have a motion to excuse customary thanks?
If we could, Mr. President, too, if we have another piece for the city solicitor, so we can
Okay,
have
if you
it.
guys should. Okay, your pleasure on item number 19?
Grant further time of committee.
Grant for the time of committee. Second.
We have a motion to grant further time, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. What was it?
Mr. President, could we suspend the rules, take item number 27?
Okay, we have a motion to suspend the rules, take item number 27, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 27.
Excuse me. Item number 27, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Council Fred Capone that representatives from the Mayor's Office and Community Development appear at our next council meeting to provide an update on Florence Street Park project.
If we could also have Tony Souza before us, too.
We have a motion to have Tony Souza come before us, Director of Community Development. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Second, yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you,
Council Capone.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's twofold. I know that last time you were up here, Tony, I think you said that the project from the contractor's end, for the most part, was done. We had some sort of an issue with the painted surface that
Yes.
was coming off. Where are we at with that?
So we have a new contractor on board to complete the painted surface. There's a two-step process. They removed the existing paint, and unfortunately, they were to be out there last week, and they were supposed to be out there today. Weather has not been cooperative, as we know. As soon as this clears up, they're expected, hopefully this Thursday, to be out there. It's a 3-day process. So, different contractor, still holding retainage for the other contractor, and I think I mentioned at the last meeting, every intention is to make this whole and withhold the retainage from the
So
GC.
this additional work that's happening now, it's repainting, it's not costing us any additional money?
Well, it is costing us money, but the idea is we would recoup it from the GC.
Okay. So are we fronting this money now and then
Yes.
looking to get it back after?
Absolutely. And then is, thank you.
What kind of figure are we talking?
We had put out to bid, it came in at 56,000.
Okay. Is there anything else that needs to be done on the project from the contractor's point of view, or no? Well, our point of view,
There's,
on the contractor's obligation.
Well, contractor's obligation is to maintain the landscaping. I think we've talked about this before, being under warranty, so that will take place, and the contractor has kept up with that. So there is,
Okay.
I think last time we met, we talked about the water bubbler that's been installed. We also had some items, if you recall, the following day, DPW, there was something that DPW took care of.
Yep,
They
there's
had to take
cord
care
and-
of, so
yep.
I think we've gone full circle.
Okay. So from the contractor situation, maintaining the landscaping, and then we just have to rectify the painting, that's it? The fountains are all up and operational?
Everything's
and all
fine, everything's functioning. There is warranty for the playground
Okay.
equipment, the sprinkler heads, and so on. The problem was, as mentioned last time, was the splash pad.
Okay. And where are we at with that, other than just?
As I mentioned, it's
just
the
painting?
paintwork, yes.
Okay. Other than that, it's operational?
Correct.
Okay, great. And then through the chair to the city solicitor, I know that we've spoken in the past about, okay, we need to look at the contract. I don't know if that's something that you can talk about or you shouldn't talk about, but to the extent that you can talk about that, where are we at? What's the focus timeframe in terms of trying to recoup some of the contract price?
Well, we're working with the planning office and reviewing the contract, and we would definitely advise the mayor as to what the city's options are. It could be potential litigation, so I don't really want to speak about it.
Exactly, that's why I asked, okay. And what kind of a time frame do you think you'd have before you kind of made that determination which way we were going?
Probably within the next few weeks.
Okay. Again, if it's going to go to litigation, I don't want it being aired out here openly. Would you, given the fact that we're talking about the painting, we've got that, it's still going on. I don't want this piece to be around for like the next 50 years. But
neither do we.
Would it be better just to talk to you, keep it off the agenda and talk to you, or should we keep it on the agenda for, a date certain?
It's your call if you wanted to take it off, and then if we had an update, you could put it back on. However,
Okay, I think at this point, we brought about as much attention to the project and the issue as possible. I think we're all well aware of what the problem is. We're all looking to fix it, so I don't see the need to keep it on the agenda, and I'll touch base with both of your offices and see where we're going from there. And if it needs to be, we can put it on if you wanted to give an update to the general counsel.
Okay.
So, thank you very much for all of your work on it. I do appreciate it. I don't have any other questions.
Councilor Marchese.
This will be just quick. Regarding the paint, going back to it, there's two parts that were painted, right? Are they both being removed and repainted?
So there's one part, if you will.
That was
but-
very bad. That's the water, the water
Correct.
park.
So all that is being removed, and it's unfortunate, right, because we're doing the job twice, if you will. And the part of that cost of $56,000 is to remove the existing, which all that's been removed now, and to basically reapply with the proper painting for
Wouldn't it
that.
be smarter to put like different colored concrete in there that made it have a longer life? They have concrete with different colors instead of doing the paint, which will probably be off for another couple of years anyhow.
But doesn't the paint have like a protective coating for?
So the, point well taken, points well taken. Here it is. If you have the right spec of paint for that.
Yep.
I think we talked about this last time. It's nothing different than,
Nope.
goodness, Baldwin Park. You just have to have the right materials there. And certainly, even with this contractor, they're not going to be absolved, if there is a warranty for that as well. So you're talking about colored concrete, perhaps?
Yeah, they have the different colors concrete. Maybe that should have been done, it'll probably last a lot longer, But whatever. Okay, thank you. Thank you. You answered what I needed to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Del Sol.
Just a couple of questions. When we started this project, what was the base of the playground area of the fountain? What was that supposed to be? So that's supposed to be rubberized, or was that going to be concrete?
So the base was always spec'd for painted concrete, and certainly we always look at different options. We've done some parks with rubber surfacing. We've done some parks. Grahamstoff Park just opened up this week, and certainly welcome folks to check it out. We did painted concrete, in that case asphalt.
Well, I just want to make sure that we didn't pay them to rubberize the concrete, and now we painted it, and now we're going to repaint it again.
No.
That was my concern.
No.
Okay, the other question was, is there a fence going, I drive by it every day and I can't think of it. Was there a new fence put up along Chelsea Street?
There was a new fence put up on Chelsea Street, an ornamental fence. There was a new fence put up along where the residential homes are, the homes that are on
mesh.
Luke Road. There's a new fence put up around the basketball court. The fence on Florence Street is existing, and that fence will be replaced as part of Phase 2.
Okay, the other issue was, I know we talked about it a few times, the entranceway itself going to Florence Street. I just had the concern, we talked about it a couple of times, of when you come around the turn to go up the side street there, Florence Street, it's wide open. There's nothing preventing anybody from coming in there into the entrance of the park except that concrete island you have, let's call it. So if there's kids in there, there's no bumper post or anything on the sidewalk preventing a car from going into the park itself. Every other park that you see, Swan Street, there's an entranceway, but it's maybe the width of your driveway. This one is very wide that, my concern is someone's gonna make a turn in, if it's a wild drive or
Sure.
whatever it's gonna be, going into that park and injuring somebody.
Sure.
We can come up with something that it's not gonna prevent our trucks from going in there to do the maintenance,
Right.
something we can put up to protect the children that are in there.
Certainly, and we can certainly do that. I'm reminded of Glendale Park and the main entrance there. We've put some planters there that are significant.
Correct.
They're, they're of a scale and appropriate. I think they, my opinion, look better than simply putting bollards and so on. So we can certainly do that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Counsel McKinnon.
Through you, Mr. President, to our invited guests, what was the total amount on this that we paid out to these people?
So I put out in the communication, I think it was 2 or 3 meetings ago, off the top, roughly on the contract amount off the top of my head, it's been a while, but I want to say approximately 1.4.
1.4 million?
Right about 1.4, 1.5 between there.
I actually have the total in front of me if you want.
Thank you.
$1,519,860.03
And where did that come from?
from you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a good source.
And let me see, what is being held back?
So it is the retainage, and that's approximately 5% of the contracted
So
amount.
what would that be about?
5%
I'm gonna
of
test your
the
arithmetic
1.5.
now.
It's 5%
about
of the
$75,000.
1.5, so I want to say it's 80,000 or so right around.
About $80,000?
Just about.
Not bad for 3 years, 4 years. Let me see.
And that's, if I may, I mean, that is standard. We hold 5% retainage on all our park contracts and so on. We could certainly increase that in the future.
We need to, in the form of the ordinances that they're going to actually be putting forward. So your information on this is going to be valuable, as
Sure.
well as the city solicitor, to actually protect the city further from this ever happening again, because it's ridiculous now, at a point
Sure.
of ridiculous. This is on the calendar every night. Every time we're up there, we hear about this, so, and it's been going on for quite some time now, so. In the future, I think we need to really look at who we're putting into doing these projects. How much is the second portion of this park going to cost?
So we actually have not fully designed the second portion.
So how much is that design, just the design going to cost?
The design work, to say ballpark, about 75.
Okay, so once we get the design work done on that, how much should that cost to do that part of the park?
For the lower
The
part?
baseball, no, the baseball section.
Phase
Is
2.
it Phase 2. we'll
So
call it.
phase 2, estimate cost for design, similar to what we've done in other parks. I'm going to guess ballpark about 75,000
To-
for design
for-
work.
For the design,
Design.
Correct.
right. Then after the design, how much would it cost to do the entire job approximately?
Well, it depends
About
what,
1.5?
it depends what we end up approving for design. If you go, obviously with turf, bleachers, whatnot, do you want me to give you a ballpark? Sacramone Park itself, that was about 3.3. So,
So somewhere in there? All right.
no, it depends, if I may, it
Depends on-
depends what we're doing in there, certainly.
What we want for bells and whistles. Okay. So this could be ending up almost $5 million if we decide to go that route.
Including the first phase?
First phase included.
Again, first phase was 1.5, and then certainly with Glendale, with Sacramone Park, it depends what you design in there. It's really all I can say, in fairness.
Well, we're going to need some strong input in that language of the ordinance that we're going to put forward, so.
Certainly, and
Your
you-
input's going to be valuable at that point.
And if I may, just to carry on, obviously, since Florence Street Park, we've done many other parks in the city. We've added language in there for minimum, what's called minimum qualifications, X number of years, X number of experience in parks and playgrounds. And certainly, if we're doing a turf project, say, think of the stadium, I'm just using that as an example, but there would be certain qualifications we'd look for from a contractor, more than just a traditional, landscaping
And you would
company,
have the
let's say.
oversight on that?
With respect to the specs?
No, for actually having selected the contractor.
The chief procurement officer recommends to the mayor, based on the bids, and then.
Would he have say in the matter, as well as yourself?
If the chief procurement officer shared the information, then sure.
Okay.
And a lot of times he does. It's always a collaboration.
And then, so just question to the chair. Where is this piece now? Because I was in the back, actually.
It would need to be referred back to sponsor.
It's referred back to sponsor, so
Yes.
there is no piece being
Yes.
worked on?
No.
No, this is for informational. Right now, it's before you to determine what you need to do. We've carried it over as long as we have. I believe the sponsor expressed a concern to, but didn't place a motion. We refer it back to sponsor at this point.
Is there going to be a piece that we're working on?
Yes.
That's something entirely different.
Thank you.
From the,
Motion send it back to...
okay, from the chair, I just have one quick question. What is the target date, or when are you looking at doing phase 2, or starting phase 2?
So we're going to advance the design over the fall and winter, depending on certainly council's approval of CIP. Would love to start in the spring of next year, but certainly that's tentative to what we go through in design, and we're going to have a community meeting as we normally do in our park projects. So
Thank you.
I don't know if that's that's the best I can tell you right now.
Okay. If there are no further questions.
Customary thanks.
A motion excused with the customary thanks. Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Counsel Capone?
On the piece, obviously, I don't want to keep dragging this piece out. It's unfortunate for all of us, the city as a whole, that we had to have this go on for this long. But rather than referring it back to sponsor, what I am going to do is refer it to the solicitor's office, refer it to community development, for them to provide updates to the council as things progress, because we still have the painted project, and we do have potential reimbursement issues with the contractor. So rather than keeping it live on our agenda, we'll refer it to their offices for updates as they come along.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I move to suspend the rules and take item 8.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend the rules, take item number 8. And second, all in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 8.
Item number 8 is an order offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president that the amount of $9,380,000 be appropriated by borrowing as requested in the CIP general fund budget.
Councilman DePiero.
Mr. Chairman, where this is obviously a big number, I anticipate my colleague is going to have a lot of questions on this. And whereas we are tentatively planning on coming back Monday, I think we'd be best suited to refer this piece to that meeting.
Okay, so you're making a motion to send this to the special meeting planning for Monday?
Yes.
It's been seconded. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So we'll refer item number 8 to the special meeting of the City Council on Monday. Ms. Clerk, is there anything else on the list?
There is not.
All right, so we'll
Excuse
reverse
me.
back.
Let me suspend the rules, take item number 24.
Okay.
And I'll just give an update on, I don't need anybody here, that's all.
Okay, so we have a motion to suspend rules and take item number 24. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk, read item number 24.
Yes, 1 second. Item number 24, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Michael K. Marchese that the city engineer update the city council in person or in writing as to the shoddy work that was done by the contractor who refurbished Henderson Street.
Councilor Marquez.
At like this time, I've been down there, the street come out, find the contractor, finish the street finally. And it's been a while there for one street. It's much too long, but sidewalks look good. The neighbors were happy. I got to go to Sal's Cleaners, anybody yelling at me down there, so I'm very happy. So you can just refer this one back to our sponsor.
Councilman Marchese, Matusky on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This street here, I don't know what the starting date was on it. I believe it was, is it 3 years?
Possibly, yeah.
3 years. And those poor businesses on that, I don't want to seem like it's funny, but I don't know what's going on here because, streets used to be done in a month or two. Cabot Street, Revere Street. Those poor people, finally, the finished product's nice, but it took 3 years. So I don't get it anymore. In the old days, like my neighborhood, I just want to give you, for instance, Paris Street, Bailey Street, and Lower Lewis Street was done in 3 months. The whole neighborhood, new sidewalks, new trees, everything. And David Ragucci was mayor at the time, as I recall. 3 months, you're talking a whole neighborhood. Now, you can't do a single street in 3 years. There's something wrong. I know there's a lot of underground work going on with these utility companies and so forth. But I don't get it. And, it's bad enough that it's like the Bermuda Triangle trying to go anywhere anymore in the city. It took me a half an hour to go from my house to the village, for crying out loud. A half an hour. But this poor street, and I'm glad Councilman Marchese brought it up. 3 years is over the top. I felt bad for those people there. And I don't get it. There's got to be a time frame on these things. That's just my feeling on it, and I'm getting a little tired of it myself. Cabot Street for sure was 3 years. Right, and I agree with this proposal to try to correct this, because this is over the top now. Really, it's tiring. It's bad enough that the everyday stress of life gets to you, but imagine living on a street that took 3 years to do. I think it's a disgrace. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and seconded to refer back to sponsor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I promised last time I'm going to do this. I'd like to suspend the rules.
Oh, sure.
And move to take item 28.
Sure. So the motion to suspend the rules, take item number, was that 28? 28? Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read the item.
Mr. President, item number 28 is a resolution offered by Councilor Anthony DePiero that the bus stop at 174 Elm Street be moved at the request of the property owners.
Councilman DePiero.
Thank you, Mr. President. Me and Councilor Marchese have been working on this together, and I've been down to the area. I've spoken to Ann Stewart. We've spoken to the gentleman that owns the convenience store there, and the condo owners, and everyone wants something different down in the neighborhood. So just trying to accommodate everyone. My motion is going to be to refer this to the MBTA and just request that they move it a few feet in the direction towards the city of Revere, just back a few feet to try to please everyone down in that neighborhood with the response back.
Yeah, actually, she's actually at a good point.
That's fine.
All right, so we have a motion to refer item 28 to the MBTA with a response back in 2 months. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will resort to the regular order of business. Incidentally, we're on a good roll, so let's keep it moving. I'm just a traffic cop.
Mr. President, item number 4 is an order offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president that the city council approve an easement from the backyard on the corner of Broadway and Bowdoin Street to the city of Everett. Yep.
Okay, Council Capone on the
Thank you, Mr. President.
On the
On the
motion?
piece, maybe through you to our clerk.
Yes.
Can you give a little idea of what it, I'm assuming this is an easement for the benefit of the city?
It is. That's why we
And
have to approve it.
is
So
there any
there is-
cost to
so
the
at
city at
corner,
all?
nope. So at the
Okay.
corner, this is through a mitigation through
Okay.
Encore Wind Mass LLC. So there's a pole here. They need to mitigate it by moving it over, and
Okay.
it's a city-owned pole. I did make sure that the city solicitor and I reviewed this prior, and she saw no issue with it. That's why it was on the agenda. And after discussion with the people at Encore, they needed this to move forward with some of the project. And the solicitor is back there if you have any questions.
If we could please just have the solicitor for us, just to make sure everything's all set, and then we're good to go.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I have it. Good evening. Welcome back.
Hi.
Mr.
Counsel
President?
Capone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Madam Solicitor. You see the easement here? Everything's all set? You looked it over?
Yeah.
Everything looks good?
Yeah.
Any issues or concerns?
No, I think there's a traffic light, I think that we own or on their property or something. If you saw that, I don't know if you have the photo.
The clerk just showed it,
Okay,
but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that you looked at it, everything
Yep.
looked good?
Yep.
I don't have any other questions.
Okay, we, motion, excuse the customary thanks, second. All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Favorable action?
A motion for favorable action, seconded. Clerk will read the roll.
Counsel Capone?
Yes.
Counsel Della Sola?
Yes.
Counsel DeFlorio? Counselor Marchese?
Yes.
Counselor Matusky?
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin? Counselor Simonelli?
Yes.
President Napolitano?
Yes.
We have 8 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. President.
You have passed the order. Clerk will read item number 5.
Item number 5 is an order offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president that the following DPW vehicles be declared surplus and auctioned off because of the cost of repairs to each vehicle. Number 1, 2007 Ford Taurus. Number 2, 2012 Dodge Charger. Number 3, Ford F-550. Number 4, 1997 Ford Louisville. Number 5, 1997 Ford Louisville. Number 6, 2007 Dodge Charger. And number 6 and number 7, 2013 Yamaha Parker.
Favorable action.
Suspend Rule 13?
Okay, we have a motion to suspend Rule 13.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Favorable action.
On the piece?
On the motion.
Could we please have the CFO before us?
A motion to have the CFO before us. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
It's up to you.
Ayes have it.
You just
Ms. Demus, if you could give your name for the record.
You got it.
Good evening, Eric Demus, CFO.
It won't.
Thank you,
Counsel Capone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Mr. Demus. Thank you very much for being here. On these pieces, I'm looking at the list. I know that it's a streamlined version because with the piece, I guess it's supposed to have the department head's request along with the information. And this is kind of merged into one thing. We don't see the department head saying it, but it's coming from the mayor's office as to the final disposition, as what to do. There are two that I'm concerned about. One is the 2008 Ford F-50 six-wheel dump with sander. The sander needs work, and it has no heat. But the dump itself, does it have any useful life left? I mean, these are pretty expensive pieces of equipment. And if it doesn't have heat, well, okay, then maybe it's not a winter vehicle. But if it still has utility, maybe we shouldn't be disposing of it that quickly. And then the second one they have a concern about is the police boat. I don't know what the general condition with that is. Maybe there's some federal grants or some other monies to bring another boat in. But if we're talking about increasing access to the waterway, and we're going to have that much to patrol, maybe it's not such a bad idea to have a second boat if it's not in poor condition. So those were the concerns I had with those. The other ones look like they're the standard issues, probably police vehicles that have outlived their useful life, although the 2012 Charger seems kind of young. I know they get a lot of miles on them. The Ford Louisville, do you know exactly what that is for a vehicle?
I didn't actually see
They're
that
old.
list.
They're
They're
old.
old.
1997,
what they are.
it's old.
I used to drive them. So those are the old Sanders that we used to use, the old dumps.
Okay.
So they bought them at the end, right? Mayor McCarthy actually bought them right before Mayor Ragucci came in office. I mean, they're over 20 years old, and they were old when I worked on the DPW 10 years ago. So they were struggling then. I'm sure they're
Yeah,
struggling more now.
And at 1997,
Yeah.
I'd say it's
So just so you know,
outlived its
they're the
useful life.
old dumps there, those little trucks that we used to go out and sand with and use for dumps.
Okay, thank you,
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Clerk. So I mean, number 3 and number 7, I'd like to hear a little bit more on those before I vote for those.
Sure.
I don't have an issue with the other ones, but I'll leave that up to my colleagues how they want to handle that. But I don't have any other questions at this point.
Okay. Any further questions? Excuse the customary thanks. So right now we have a motion.
Lay it on the table for the next meeting.
Right now, there's a motion for favorable action. It's been seconded.
Yeah.
Is there a second motion?
There is, Mr. President. I'd like to move that, depending what my colleagues want to do, they can lay on the table, get more information on all these items, or at least items number 3 and number 7. I absolutely want to know a little bit more about those two.
Councilman DeFlorio, did you want to rescind your motion? Oh, do you want to- You made the motion, okay. All right, so we have a motion to postpone this till the next meeting?
And ask for
More
further
detailed
detail.
information
Yeah.
on it.
Can we get the detail in writing, please?
Absolutely, it's supposed to be.
Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 6.
One moment, please. Okay. Item number 6 is an order offered by Council Peter A. Napolitano as president to accept donations from the following companies in the city celebration account: Schnitzer Steel Industries, $1,000; Everett Bank, $1,000; the Levitt Corporation, $1,000; and Green Works, $1,000.
Favorable action with a letter of
action.
thanks?
Second.
Only if it goes out.
Donations, right. Okay, I have a motion for favorable action on item number 6, seconded. Clerk will read the roll.
Council Capone.
Yes.
Council Della Sola.
Yes.
Councilor DeFlorio.
Yes.
Councilor Marchese.
Yes.
Councilor Matusky.
Yes.
Councilor McKinnon.
Yes.
Councilor Simonelli.
Yes.
President Napolitano.
Yes.
8 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. President.
Okay, you have approved the order.
We have
And,
sent them a
letter of
thank you.
thanks should go out
Yes.
to each donator. Clerk will read item number 7.
Mr. President, item number 7 is an order offered by Council Peter A. Napolitano as president to accept a donation of a new 55-inch LED smart TV valued at $637.49 after taxes from the Redzikowski family.
Favorable action on the order with a letter of thanks to be
Second
sent out.
motion.
Motion for favorable acts has been seconded. Clerk will read the roll.
Council Capone.
Yes.
Council Della Sola.
Yes.
Council DeFlorio.
Yes.
Council Marchese.
Yes.
Council Matusky.
Yes.
Council McKinnon.
Yes.
Council Simonelli.
Yes.
President Napolitano.
Yes.
8 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. President.
You have passed the order, and a letter of thanks will go out. Clerk will read item number 9.
Item number 9 is an order offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president that the amount of $350,000 be appropriated by borrowing for the vocational project at the high school as previously discussed.
Mr. Chairman, we did, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Councilman DeFlorio, go ahead.
We did discuss this during our budget hearing, so I don't see why, if you, it's up to you, I don't see why we're not able to vote on this tonight. It's so important for us to have this vocational school, and I would definitely,
Where we had had previous discussion, I would consider this routine.
okay, that's
Yes.
what I was asking. So I would recommend favorable action on the order.
Suspend Rule 13?
We have a motion to suspend Rule 13. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. A motion for favorable action has been seconded. Clerk will read the roll.
Council Capone.
Yes.
Council Della Sola. Councilor DeFlorio.
Yes.
Councilor Marchese.
Yes.
Council Matusky.
Yes.
Council McKinnon. Council Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Napolitano.
Yes.
Close. 8 yeas, 0 nays.
You have passed the order. Clerk will read item number 10.
Item number 10 is an ordinance for an open, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Council Fred Capone as an ordinance for an open-air storage of salt and other items. This was asked to be held over and grant further time in committee.
Subcommittee report, grant further time?
Second.
Okay. Accepting the committee report, granting further time. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 11.
Item number 11. Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Michael K. Marchese that the city of Everett consider banning or putting a bottle redemption on alcoholic nips.
Councilman Marchese.
Yes, did we? We
Your
had,
recommendation, the committee voted to report back to the city council a recommendation to refer it to the state representative Joe McGonigal and state senator Sal DiDomenico with a request that the state legislature amend the current bottle bill to include the redemption of nips.
and
That was your recommendation.
That would be my motion.
I second it.
Okay?
So a motion to send that to the
State
state
legislation.
level.
The state, yeah, state
senator
level, and
and
let
the,
them see if they can
representative.
add on to the existing bottle bill. I got a certain way we can do it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 13.
Item number 13 is an ordinance offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president, be it ordained by the Everett City Council that Section 3-33, keeping hens/poultry of the revised ordinance of the city of Everett, be amended as follows. This was also requested to stay in committee, I believe. Yep.
clarification,
Grant
yep.
further time and invite the building inspector to the next committee meeting.
Subcommittee report, grant further time.
We have a motion to accept the committee report and grant further time. Second, all in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 14.
Item number 14 is an ordinance offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president, be it ordained by the Everett City Council, an ordinance to modify the fees or licenses and permits issued under the authority of the city council. The committee report, I believe, recommended favorably for favorable action. And if you do so, this is for enrollment.
Subcommittee report, favorable action.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the committee report. Favorable action has been seconded. Clerk will read the roll.
Council Capone.
Yes.
Council Della Sola.
Yes.
Council Della Sola. Council DeFlorio.
Yes.
Council Marchese.
Yes.
Council Matusky. Council McKinnon.
Yes.
Council Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Napolitano.
Yes.
8 yeas, 0 nays. You have enrolled the ordinance.
Good enough.
Okay, you have enrolled the ordinance. Clerk will read item number 15.
Item number
We
15
enough by
is an
8.
ordinance offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president. Be it ordained by the Everett City Council that the revised ordinance of the city of Everett be amended as follows. Section 12-47 is amended, hereby amended,
Fred.
by deleting this section in its entirety and replacing it with the following garage section 12-47, garages. And I believe this was also favorable. Yep, you guys recommended
Okay,
it.
this
all
was recommended favorable action committee.
Second.
Motion
Also
favorable
enrolled.
action on the order and accept the committee report. Seconded. All, clerk will read the roll.
Council Capone.
Yes.
Council Della Sola.
Yes.
Council DeFlorio.
Yes.
Council Marchese.
Yes.
Council Matusky. Council McKinnon.
Yes.
Council Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Napolitano.
Yes.
8 yeas, 0 nays. You have enrolled the ordinance.
Mr. President, can we take items 16 and 17 collectively?
Clerk will read items number 16, 17 collectively, one at a time. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read the items.
Mr. President, item number 16 is an ordinance offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president. Be it ordained by the Everett City Council that the revised ordinances of the city of Everett be amended, hereby amended as follows. Article 1, general provisions. Article 2, discharges to the municipal separate storm water system, MS4. Article 3, stormwater management and land disturbance. Item number 17 is an ordinance offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president. Be it ordained by the Everett City Council that the revised ordinances of the city of Everett be amended as follows. Chapter 15 is hereby amended by deleting the chapter in its entirety and replacing it with new Chapter 15 as follows. Chapter 15, sanitary, sewers, and storm drains. Both were, recommendations were to grant further time
Accept the
with,
committee report, grant further time.
Mr.
Second.
St. Louis, and I don't remember who it is, but he's gonna bring somebody to discuss it with him.
Grant further time.
We have a
Second
motion
motion.
to accept the committee reports on both items and to grant further time. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read the next item.
Yes. Please, 1 second. It's item number 20. Item number 20, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Council Michael J. McLaughlin that CFO Mr. Eric Demus, Assistant Superintendent Mr. Charles Zabrimski, and 4Kids Only Director Mr. Deborah Nealon appear at the next Ways and Means Committee meeting to discuss the purchase order process in regards to funding for 2018-2019 school year.
Hold on. What is it?
Recommendation is to refer back to sponsor.
Refer back to sponsor.
Second motion.
Okay, we have a motion to refer item 20 back to sponsor. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 21.
This is you.
Item number 21. Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Wayne A. Matusky and Councilor Stephen Simonelli that vetoes auto repair correct its operation on the corner of Ferry Street and Viller Ave.
Accept the committee report, and we've left this in committee, grant further time,
Second.
I believe it was 30 days specifically,
30
right?
days.
Councilman Matusky.
Thank
On
you,
the
Mr.
motion.
President. I just want to thank the Committee on Business and Community Development tonight. We had a lengthy meeting. Chairperson Rosa DeFlorio, Councilor Capone, and Councilor McKinnon addressed some of the serious issues with this business, and I think we're going to get it resolved. The landlord was here this evening, and the people on Villa Ave will get some justice within 30 days. Thank you.
What's the motion at this point?
It is to stay in committee for 30 days.
Okay, so we have a motion to keep this in committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk, read item 22.
Item number 22 is a petition offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president to petition from BNK for an open-air parking permit. Item number 22 also asks for grant further time.
Second.
Motion to accept the committee report and grant further time. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 23.
Item number 23. Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Fred Capone that a representative from the mayor's office appear at our next meeting to discuss the road closures at Robin, Dexter, and Beecham Streets and the impact to the neighborhood.
Council Capone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Do we have anyone here from the mayor's office to discuss this? Was there any communication sent?
No,
Next meeting.
probably would have been, Mr. St. Louis was here earlier, and
Yeah.
I don't think he realized,
Okay. Yeah, I caught it after that. So there's no communication, though?
there's nothing in my file.
All right,
Counselor.
let's lay this over to our next meeting and invite the city engineer, someone from the mayor's office. It's a pretty huge project going on down there. It's going to impact quite a few businesses and residences, so we really need to understand how it's going to unfold.
Do we have a motion to postpone item number 23 till the next meeting? It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 25.
Item number 25, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Michael K. Marchese that the city limit future residential construction developments to 25% below the market rate for rentals.
Councilman Marchese.
Yes, was this directed elsewhere?
Madam Solicitor. But it was referred to her, but you weren't here. So she was away at the time when this came in.
Then
So
won't we
you
just
might wanna send it
refer-
back to her.
send it back
Just
to
give
her,
her a few
please.
more weeks to review it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion made to send us to city solicitor's office.
You want a response?
With response back?
Back
Yeah,
in
the
2
next
weeks, we
meeting,
could,
2 weeks, our
please.
next meeting. Okay, we have a motion to send item 25 to the city solicitor, response back at our next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 26.
Item number 26, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Michael K. Marchese that overcrowded Everett Public Schools be allowed to issue vouchers to students to attend state-certified private preschools/daycares. And I believe Madam Solicitor has some information, I believe.
If we could please invite the city solicitor up.
We have a motion to invite the city solicitor up. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you for not tripping. I saw the trip on the way back, too.
He tripped me
Oh.
on purpose.
You could take Tuesdays off. If you're
Do you
here
know a
after
good lawyer?
9 o'clock at night.
Thank you.
You're
You can hire a good lawyer.
I don't know one.
All right,
I did a little bit of research on this.
Yep.
And so we have a state constitutional amendment, the anti-aid amendment, which we've discussed in previous meetings and regarding other issues. And courts have ruled that we can't use public funds to extend to entities that aren't in the sole control or ownership of the public entity. So we're not allowed to use public taxpayer money to pay tuition for students who go to private schools.
Right, how about charter schools? We pay for that, don't we?
Yeah, so those are, those are run a little differently, and it's not a voucher system, it's, I think the charter schools are actually considered public schools. So you just have to kind of put your name in the lottery, and then you're accepted to the school, and there's no tuition. But the school department is required to pay the state for the amount of students that they have.
How is a charter school, which isn't a private school, allowed to buy property without the approval of a city like this? How can they come into a city, buy property with taxpayers' money, and the schools don't belong to the taxpayers?
That's considered a private land transaction because they're not part of the city of Everett.
Bingo.
So it's a.
So what's the difference between
Yeah.
going to a,
But they don't charge tuition either for,
who doesn't?
they don't charge tuition to the students. So the locals, like, so the Everett Public Schools are required to pay the state.
Yep, so much per student.
Money, yeah.
So when we just pay the state, because I know that a lot of these schools that are here in the city, they're losing a lot of money because of the free preschool that we have now. That's all I'm just saying. I don't understand how you can have a charter school that's allowed to buy property all over the place, and they're not a private school. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I'm confused with that, but thank you for the
You're welcome.
clarification. I guess the motion to be here, dismiss Ms. Mahia,
Excuse customary.
and to refer back to sponsor.
we have a motion to, excuse the, with customary thanks, second it, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, got a motion to refer back to sponsor, been seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 30.
Item number 30. Mr. President, is a public, hold on, excuse me. This was a public hearing. As the National Grid requests permission to locate poles, wires, and fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the public way at 120 Tremont Street. This is,
Councilman DeFlorio.
Mr. Chairman, you know, the last time I got very angry, and I'm going to continue to get angry with National Grid because they just don't do their job. But unfortunately, it makes it very difficult for us to vote no on something and let the individual that's seeking this suffer. But here's an example of what I have done, okay? This is still the light on Sycamore Street that I said the last time, the last meeting. On August 29 at 8:24 a.m., good morning, Dan. Council DeFlorio is requesting that you fix the broken light on 79 Sycamore Street be repaired ASAP. This light has been broken for some time. If you need any more information, please call blah, blah, blah. That was at 8:24 a.m. At 2:22, hi, Mike. Any chance you can ask Council DeFlorio to get the poll number? Is he kidding me? I gave him the address. How many poll numbers are in one address, okay? Hi, Dan. The poll number is 3372. Maybe I should play that number. I never play numbers, so I might have a chance of winning that before I get the poll fixed. Thanks, Mike. We'll have it repaired. As of today, it's still not repaired. So what do? Do we make the person suffer? No, we can't do that. It's just not fair, all right? But this isn't right. We have to do something. The administration needs to do something. When they come up here, the administration says, from now on, we're putting nothing on the agenda until these problems are fixed.
If I could make a suggestion, I completely understand where you're coming from. I've submitted a block between Union Street and Cottage Street that has 3 out of 4 lights out. There are businesses there that operate in the evening. It's dark. I've been chasing that for 6 months. I handed off the last time he was in the audience those numbers. They fixed 1 light, so now we have 2 out of 4 that are still out. Whether that's interfering with because of their current union issues, I can't speak to that.
That's not,
But what I would
union issues is gas,
suggest,
it's not
no, I
electric.
understand. What I would suggest is that these items we hold separately, but on our next meeting, let's put a motion, let's get a motion together to have Mr. Cameron come up and speak specifically to the lights issue and the double pole issue. This way here, we're not penalizing our residents who are trying to get services from them through these items. It's just a suggestion, whatever you see
So I
seem
think
fit.
that from now on, everything we gotta invite Mr. Cameron up here to have him fix it.
I think
Let's
we
put
should
it
have
on
him
the
up there at the
agenda.
next meeting,
No,
definitely.
every light we need to have fixed, we'll put it on the agenda, invite Mr. Cameron up. Every light, we'll get the poll number, we have to go out and get the poll number, because National Grid can't do their jobs.
Yeah.
Okay? So we'll go out, get the poll number. I have never, in 14 years that I've been up here, put anything like that on the agenda. I'm gonna start doing it, we're gonna refer it to Mr. Dan Cameron to come to our next meeting constantly, until these problems get fixed. Because there's no way I'm gonna let anybody suffer because of National Grid, that's not fair.
Yep.
So,
I agree.
okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do I
So
have a
favorable
motion?
action on the order.
I have a motion for favorable action on the order. It's been seconded. Let's see, it is a order?
Yes,
Okay,
it is.
clerk will read the
I need a
roll.
call. Counselor Capone?
Yes.
Counselor De La Sola?
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio?
Yes.
Counselor Marchese?
Yes.
Counselor Matusky?
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli?
Yes.
And President Napolitano?
Yes.
That would be 9 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. President.
You have passed the item. Clerk will read item number 31.
Item number 31 is an order, Mr. President, is an order offered by Councilors Peter Napolitano, John Hanlon, Anthony DePiero, Michael McLaughlin, and Richard De La Sola Jr. to amend zoning ordinance temporary parking facilities. Specifically, it's section
What is
12
that?
of the zoning ordinances.
It's parking, we had this.
The
last
temporary
time.
parking for Lower
Temporary
Broadway.
parking.
There was a recommendation of the committee?
This,
Shouldn't that say the whole council?
this was enrolled at the
wanna go
last
on
one.
it,
This is
yeah.
an ordinance.
All right. So now, this is
This
already
is for
enrolled.
arraignment.
We're voting for arraignment.
And we know who that is.
Do we have a motion?
Favorable
A
action.
favorable action, a second.
I apologize, I didn't hear it. Second, okay, clerk will read the roll.
Counselor Capone? No. Counselor DeFlorio?
Yes.
Counselor Marchese?
No.
Counselor Matusky? Counselor McKinnon?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin?
No.
Counselor Simonelli?
Yes.
Counselor President Napolitano?
Yes.
And Counselor Matusky?
No.
One, two, three, four. 4 yeas and 4 nays. You did not ordain the ordinance.
Is this, now what, is this for parking for Lower Broadway?
For 36 months. Allows the casino to, it allows anybody down Lower Broadway for 36 months to
This is-
operate a parking facility.
If I could, Mr. President, just for clarification, this is for the 800, is it 800 parking?
Yeah, roughly. Those are almost 900
If
spots.
I could, Mr. President, I want to vote in favor of that. I
So-
changed my vote.
The only way to do that, because I've already read the...
Reconsideration?
Yes, because I've
Please.
already read the tally.
I was
Yep.
misinformed. I thought it was the previous piece, so.
If I could, from the chair, just on the clarification, I attended the meeting with Encore People regarding this, as did some of the other members and other sponsors on this. The intent for this is that they're looking at the models from IKEA, and they're also looking at the models for the MGM rollout. The high level of interest in these properties when they first open is much, much higher in capacity than they would normally average out to. All they're trying to do is, looking at the experiences on those two properties, is to be able to provide ample parking so these people coming down to check out the casino don't filter into the neighborhoods. Now, any resident that lives on Cottage Street in my neighborhood, we know what our neighborhood goes through just during a Friday night football game or graduation. People park everywhere. I live 3 blocks from it, and I got people parking in front of my house and walking down to the stadium. If you look at it in that context, this is what the purpose of this piece is to take those properties that they've purchased, use them temporarily for parking over the next 2 to 3 years, while they educate the public on alternate ways to be able to get into the casino. And then, at that point, they will then, those properties will then revert to the development plans that they're looking to do. That's the purpose.
I'd like to ask for reconsideration.
And you were on the prevailing side, so you can do so.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, do I have a second? We have a motion for reconsideration, seconded. All in favor? Okay, let's do a roll call.
That's more appropriate. Mr.
Clerk will read
President.
the roll. Absolutely.
For reconsideration, Counsel Capone.
Yes.
Counselor Della Sola. This is for
No.
reconsideration.
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio. Counselor Marchese. This is to reconsider it. Okay. Counselor Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
No.
Okay. Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Napolitano.
Yes.
That's
All right, you have the piece back before you.
7 yeas, 1 nay. It has been reconsidered, is before you. It takes 6 votes to pass this ordinance.
We have a
And
motion
it's
for
been
favorable
enrolled as a
action.
coordinament.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's not a financial order, and the clerk and I already discussed it. It should take 6. It's just a regular ordinance, even though it's zoning. We have
Okay,
no
a motion for
finance in it.
favorable action, it's been seconded. Clerk will read the roll. No problem.
We have. Excuse me. Counselor Capone.
No.
Counselor Della Sola.
No.
Counselor DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counselor Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon. Counselor McLaughlin. Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
Counselor Napolitano.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can change it before I speak.
I'd like to change my vote,
6.
please.
Yes.
Change my vote to yes.
Counselor Della Sola will be recorded as a yes, making the tally 1, 2, 3, 4. 7 yeas, 1 nay. You have ordained the ordinance.
Okay, you have ordained the ordinance. Clerk will read the next item.
Item number 32 is an ordinance offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president, as in accordance with the provisions of Section 12 of the zoning ordinance of the City of Everett. That the City Council hereby amends the zoning ordinance as follows: that the zoning map be amended by removing the industrial district along Revere Beach Parkway and replacing it with the business district so that it is consistent with existing zoning nearby. This was also enrolled. You are voting tonight on ordainment.
Favorable action on the order.
Okay, I have a motion for favorable action on the order. It's been seconded. It's for ordainment. Clerk will read the roll.
Counselor Capone.
Yes.
Counselor Della Sola.
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counselor Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Napolitano.
Yes.
8 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. President. You have ordained the ordinance.
You have ordained item number 32. Clerk will read item number 33.
Item number 33 is an ordinance offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president. In accordance with the provisions of Section 12 of the zoning ordinance of the City of Everett, the City Council hereby amends the zoning ordinances as follows: that the zoning map and, am I wrong? Zoning ordinance as follows, that the zoning map and zoning ordinance be amended to create a new zoning district in the Commercial Triangle Study Area in order to encourage mixed-use development to reflect the evolving market in the city of Everett, Greater Boston.
Favorable action on the order. This is to be ordained.
Favorable action on the order. It's been
We already
seconded.
voted on this.
Clerk will read the roll.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Were you wrong on something?
Well, I was right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wrong choice. You didn't have enough votes. Item number 33. Would you like to, what the motion is?
Read the,
It's
favorable
been
action's
enrolled-
been
it's been
seconded,
yeah.
so just read the roll.
Read the roll. Counsel Capone. Yes. Counsel De La Sola.
Yes.
Counsel DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counselor Matusky. Yes. Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
President Napolitano.
Yes.
8 yeas, 0 nays. I wouldn't. Items 32 and 33 passed, and item 31 failed. You can always reconsider it again.
Right.
Because it was a new vote.
Yes.
Well, and which the prevailing side is Counsel Capone, not anyone else.
Freddie.
All right, so I make the motion that we reconsider item, is it 31?
We have a motion to reconsider item number 31. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Because we need 8 votes
Yep.
it to pass.
Get more, yeah, ayes.
Okay, actually,
Okay, do we have it now?
all right,
That's why.
Yeah, we're just voting to bring it back, so.
yeah, right now, we're just voting to bring the item back before us. I have a second. Clerk will read the roll.
Counsel Capone.
Yes.
Counsel De La Sola.
Yes.
Counsel DeFlorio.
You voted yes?
For
This is to
reconsideration.
reconsider
It's
it.
just reconsideration.
Oh, for reconsideration,
Yep.
yes.
Counselor Matusky. Yes. Counselor McKinnon. Yes. Counselor McLaughlin. Counselor McLaughlin.
This is on.
Just to reconsider it.
On
Bring it back.
reconsideration.
Simonelli, Counselor Simonelli?
Yes.
And President Napolitano.
Yes.
You have reconsidered the order. It is before you. We do need 8 votes for it to pass.
On the piece.
We don't have 8 members who can
Mr.
vote
President,
for it.
on the piece, I recommend you suspend this, well, lay it over, postpone it till the next meeting when all the members are present to vote on it. On this particular piece, I don't have an issue with the casino utilizing its property for a parking lot. My problem with this issue is it's not spot zoning, it's for the entire area. As a representative of the area, I cannot vote for that. So my vote will be no all day, all night long. So I recommend that we postpone it to the next meeting.
We have a motion right now to postpone this to the next meeting. It's been seconded. All in favor? Gentlemen, all in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. You've postponed it to the next meeting. Clerk will read item number 36.
Mr. President, a resolution offered by Councilor Peter Napolitano that the City Council rules be changed to prohibit any new business items on the regular agenda from being addressed after 11 p.m. Items will be addressed on the following evening as at a continued meeting.
I'll entertain a motion to send this to Legislative Affairs. Second. Have a second? Motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 37.
Item number 37, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano that a celebrations committee be added to coordinate celebratory events throughout the year.
I'll entertain a motion to send this also to Legislative Affairs. I have a motion, seconded. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 38.
Item number 38, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilors Wayne A. Matusky and Councilor John Leo McKinnon that the Encore Boston Casino Group reconsider building a pedestrian footbridge on Route 99 Lower Broadway in the best interest of public safety.
Councilman McKinnon. Councilman Matusky.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, I had an opportunity to speak with members of the Board of Appeals, 2 members at least. And they are in favor of this pedestrian bridge, at least 1, maybe 2. And it's been suggested that maybe even a under the ground tunnel type of connection to pedestrian traffic. Now, there's 5 crosswalks from the Rotary all the way to Exelon. Now, anybody driving down Lower Broadway, and I know they have the best experts in the world working on this most expensive project in the history of Massachusetts. I understand that. And they're genius. They're doing a wonderful job with the construction and every phase of the, what's going on in with the casino area. What puzzles me is how they think that somebody from one side of Broadway is not going to stop traffic to go to the other side of Broadway. There's 5 crosswalks, okay? We got one in front of the Backyard. You got one in front of McDonald's. There's one in front of Honda Cars. There's another one in front of the entrance to the casino / new parking lot. And then there's one at Minicello's Exelon there. That's 5 crosswalks. There's 5 sets of lights there. I know they've suggested they're going to retime them and they're going to be on some kind of... There's going to be employees, visitors, tourists, residents. Thousands of people are going to be in that area. And, I've seen somebody run across the street the other day. I happen to go by there quite a bit. And it was suggested to the Board of Appeals that the Wynn Casino, Encore Casino people were going to do this. Now they say they're not going to do it. We have to put some, I don't know how much authority we do have over Encore. They're like any other business. We are the city fathers. I believe in the interest of public safety that there's got to be some kind of crossover bridge thing. There has to be, at least one. And these members of the Board of Appeals, I'm not going to mention their names, they requested that we send this to them because that issue is in their hands right now. So we've got to take a stand here. I really believe that it's going to cause traffic congestion, number 1, and pedestrian safety is very, very important, and traffic flow. The flow is unbelievable. Like I mentioned it a couple of meetings ago, one person presses that crossing thing and there's 200 cars backed up each way. I mean, the person has to cross the street. I understand that, but there's going to be thousands of people, I would imagine. And we've got to have something in place. And, the casino people, our good friends, the Encore Casino Group, seems to have forgotten that they said that they were going to do this. And that was reported in one of the papers recently, that they promised to put a pedestrian crossover or tunnel type of device to make people be able to cross. So, talking with Councilman McKinnon, he was actually down there. I'll let him explain what he observed. But we've got to let the casino people, let the city fathers of Everett, which is us in this room, want that pedestrian I don't want to sit in traffic. Hello? I want to be able to go through there, and it's been working out pretty well, actually, the last few times, but we're going to have problems with pedestrian safety and traffic problems without those bridges that they said they were going to put in. So with that, my suggestion, I want the councilman to speak, my co-sponsor, but the main goal of this resolution is to refer this to the planning board. Mr. Maddox, who I met personally, I'll have you know, at the Gaming Commission hearing when Mr. Nguyen was removed from the whole operation, and he seems like a very responsible person. So, and the mayor's office, I want him to know what the city council feels on this, but I'll let my co-sponsor take over from here.
Council McKinnon.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I concur with everything that my colleague said from Ward 1. Public safety reasons why it should be there is because you're going to have all these people trying to just cross that main road. If they're just parking everywhere, they're not going to have a center way to go across unless we do something like this. And that'll cause mega traffic jams. It will cause problems with public safety. It's just a number of problems that's going to occur. I was going to Boston. I witnessed a car almost hit one of our police officers down there, and it wasn't a good sight, actually, seeing that. So if we can alleviate this anyway, this is going to be a problem. If we can alleviate it in any way, I think this will probably be the best idea to do so. So I know there was a couple other council members that wanted to get on this. If my colleague doesn't have any problems with that, I know Councilman Rosa DeFlorio wanted to be on this piece as well. And if anybody else wants to be on, Councilman Capone, McLaughlin, Delasola, and Simonelli.
All right, you could amend that to include the entire city council then.
Well, I don't want to speak for Councilman Hanlon. He's not here, or Councilman DePiero.
I would also be very interested in that.
Okay,
I represent that
Councilman
area
Napolitano.
for over 20 years.
If we could
Definitely
just put,
understand
I mean,
the
if
concerns.
they, if they want to be on it, they can be on it as well. But we can put the entire city council, but I don't want to speak for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, with this, this should be sent to.
So what you would want to do is you want to amend this to include the city councils that are present.
Yeah, the councilors that are present, and refer to planning.
Okay, do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay, do you want to speak?
Briefly.
Council, Capone.
I applaud the preliminary responses on this piece. It's an excellent piece. If you think about what we were doing here tonight, the parking lot piece alone, number 31, there's 800 cars that are going to come across the street.
That's right.
So, I mean, you guys hit it on the head. Between traffic and safety, it would be in their best interest to put this in. You're going to get your customers across the way quicker, more efficiently, and you'll keep the flow of traffic going. So I don't see how they could not see this as a good thing. So thank you very much for bringing it forward, and also thank you for allowing us to be on the piece.
From the chair, I second that. I mean, not the motion, but obviously the sentiment. If their long-term plans are to develop those properties for other venues, another hotel, these amenities we're asking for are going to be necessary, or more so than what we're just basing on with the parking alone. 800 parking spaces, we know, is more than 800 people. Yes.
Traffic flow alone, Mr. President, is going to be horrendous if we do not do something like this. So
I agree.
We need to act now like this is opening tomorrow. There's certain pieces that are going to be put on the calendar that are going to, address certain issues that we need to really act upon, because I could foresee, ladies and gentlemen that want to attend the casino down there, that's going to be fine, but they're going to be parking at your house, my house, his house, everybody's house, and unless we do something.
$100 a space,
Absolutely. Unless we do something about that, which I have another piece on that I'll speak later about. But unless we do certain things to get this up and running successfully, and public safety-wise and traffic flow-wise, we need to act now as a council,
You're
so.
right on top of it, and nothing like a proactive approach.
Yeah.
All right, so right now, the first motion is to
Add-
amend it to add the members that are physically here at this time to be at,
Actually,
Not
don't put Councilman
okay, all but,
Marchese on,
okay.
but everyone else that's present,
Council
except Marchese.
DeFlorio, Council Simonelli, Council McLaughlin, Council Del Sol, Council Capone, myself.
Yep.
Okay. Do I have
And
a
then
second?
refer to planning.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And the next motion?
Refer to planning?
Yes, for, Mr. Cafaso to the Board of, is it the Board?
Is it planning?
Planning Board.
Yeah.
Yeah, then.
Planning Board. And I'll mention one of the members' name, member of the Board of Planning
Pisano.
Board, Mr. Pisano. I spoke with him. He's outspoken about this issue. He's taken a stand on it. We have to let Encore, Boston Harbor, know how we feel.
And we gotta support him.
And we have to support the planning board in this endeavor. And I'd also like a copy of this sent to Mr. Maddox of Encore Boston Harbor
With a response back.
and Mr. De Silva of Boston Harbor. Okay, you got that. And of course, the mayor's office. Let him know what the city council
With a
thinks.
response back in a month.
Okay, so we have a motion to refer it to the planning board, invite, with a copy of it going to the members that you identified, mayor's office, members of Encore Boston Harbor. Do I have a second?
With a response back
With a
within a
response
month?
back,
A month.
we can only do two.
Just for the record,
One
this
second.
issue is still in the planning board department.
Right, I mean, if,
So,
yeah, but if
It's
you're
in there.
sending this to, are you looking for action from the planning board?
Well, we want
Well, then
them to
they-
know what
I mean,
our
Then you're looking for a response
position.
back when they're completed. That would be
Yeah,
what I'm
for
done.
them.
If they're handling it.
Is that a month?
I wouldn't put a
Okay.
time frame. They'll just send it back. Does that make sense?
When complete.
Yeah.
All right.
I wouldn't put a time.
But a
yeah.
copy of the, Mr. President, a copy, what we have here, to those parties should be
Yes.
able to get a copy of this, to let them know how we feel. And maybe you could add a little, if I could, Mr. President, have the city clerk draft a letter that we think public safety is, a major concern, traffic flow is a major concern, and everything that we had mentioned tonight. And I want to thank my colleagues, Mr. President, for supporting this. I really see it as and we all do, as an issue for traffic and everything else in between.
Absolutely.
And we haven't requested very much from Encore Boston Harbor. This is a start. We'll see where we go. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion for favorable act, a motion to send it to the planning board with a response when completed. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 39.
Item number 39, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor John Leo McKinnon that Ms. Gregory, Dr. Easy, Mr. Luongo, and Mr. Supino appear at our next Government Operations meeting to discuss the feasibility of a 24/7 parking program and several other parking issues.
Entertain a motion to send this to government ops.
Yeah,
and
this
Office
is
of
going to be
Safety.
the motion to send to government ops, but this is one of those that I'm looking at doing. I wanted to see, as other colleagues, I know, Councilwoman Rosa DeFlorio, and you know what, you do want to be on this? Could I amend it by adding this, her to this piece as well? Councilman McLaughlin? Anybody
Okay, do I
else
have a
want to
second?
be on?
We have a motion to amend the piece to include Councilors DeFlorio and McLaughlin.
And my reasoning behind it is, and this is one of the proactives that we're gonna need to do, reason being is if we don't have 24/7, 7 days a week, you're gonna see a lot of residents gonna be very angry. Councilman Capone wants to be on it as well. We'll put the entire, whoever's sitting here, whoever's present that wants to be on it, please put them on it.
Okay,
That's
so
it.
is there any of the members here that have an issue with being on this piece? You do not want to be on a piece?
I just want to mention why I'm not.
Okay, well, when it, I'll, yeah. All right, so right now you have a motion to add Council DeFlorio, Council Marchese, Council Simonelli, McLaughlin, Delasole, Capone, and myself.
Yes.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
On the piece, reason why I want this to happen is because I believe that we need this before the casino does open. If we do not have this, you'll have an influx of cars in the properties and in our properties in the streets of Everett that you're not going to be able to do anything with over the weekend. So we need this. And I'll speak more about it in depth at the government ops.
Okay, right, on the motion to send this to committee. This is the motion for you, on the motion to send it before committee. Council Capone.
I just want to, thank you, Mr. President. I just want to point out to my colleagues, too. I've been to so many traffic commission meetings, and this has been an issue that's come up over and over and over again. And I've heard for the past 2.5, 3 years that they're working on a 24/7 program, but I haven't seen anything yet. So I think it's a good piece to put forward. I know that Ms. Gregory's on the Traffic Commission. I don't know if the sponsors want to have anyone else from the Traffic Commission there or not. That's just a suggestion. If you just want to get it rolling, that's fine, but.
Lieutenant,
what's his
name? Lieutenant
Chris
Hannon
Hannon.
come as well.
Because I know that they've been talking about this for about 2.5, 3 years. So.
Mr. President.
Yeah, this is actually, we worked extensively on this in 2003, 2004. It's not an easy issue, and that's the reason why there's no quick answers.
Well, Mr. President.
I have
Do you yield?
two other speakers before you.
This is going to
all
committee
set?
so we could,
Yeah, the motion's to send to committee, so I mean, again, the longer we speak on an item, we're not really getting anywhere
Yeah,
with
let's
it.
send it.
Council Matusky?
I just want it to be invited.
I want all the sponsors invited, and I want Lieutenant Hannon as well as the other individuals that are here, Mr. Sapino, Mr. Luongo, Mr. Easy, and Mrs. Gregory.
Okay. Council Matusky on the motion?
Thank you, Mr. President. I like the 5-day-a-week program, but I know the intention here. We're concerned about the casino parking in all areas of the city, but I think the 5-day parking works, but I could see where the concern is. I just don't want to be on it right now. So that's, I'm a little concerned with people who come in to visit on weekends and so forth. Midnight Friday night to midnight Sunday night. Anybody can come and visit, but I see the intention of the sponsors, but at this time, I don't want to place my name on that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilman DeFlorio.
It's already sent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't want to continue on this because I know it's going to committee. I just want to make sure I got invited to committee, and that was going to be my main concern was visitors pass. We have to figure out how to give out visitors pass. So that's very important because we do have families, and families do come here. And I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have a large enough driveway, but a lot of people are not fortunate, and we can't take their families coming to visit them. So that's very important. Thank you.
Just one thing I just want to remind all the members here is that the more members you add to a piece that goes to committee, we're all subject by the open meeting rule. So in other words, there can only be so many members out here on the floor discussing an item of business. The minute we have more than 5 members on the floor discussing an item of business, we have the ability to vote on it, and that's a violation of open meeting rule. You all know this. I'm just reminding you. That's all.
The reason why I asked to be invited is so that when it comes back on the floor, I happen not to be on this committee. If my questions are answered, there's no reason to ask the questions all over again.
Absolutely.
Because that's what's making these meetings last so long. So if I'm invited to the committee, I have 30 questions. Out of those 30 questions, if 28 I've asked, then I know when it comes to the floor, I only have to ask 2.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so on the motion to send it to the planning board with the amendments to the...
Government operations.
Government operations.
Sorry, wrong piece, sorry.
That was the last piece.
So I was too close to 10 o'clock. I was
Yeah.
getting excited that we might actually get out of here before 10, but that's okay. All right, so the motion to send it to government operations, public safety, with the added sponsors, with invitation to everybody, the sponsors plus...
Lieutenant Chris Hannon,
Hannon.
and all the individuals that are mentioned.
All in
the
favor?
piece.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 40.
Item number 40, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor John Leo McKinnon that the mayor and the chief of police appear at the next government operations meeting to discuss the creation of a reserve list for the police. Please invite the patrolman union rep, supervisor union rep.
41?
Oh, I'm sorry, I read the wrong one.
Yep.
That it's offered by Councilor John Leo McKinnon that the president of the city council consider forming a special oversight committee on projects that cost $10 million or more, such as the Chelsea Everett culvert.
I'd like to amend this by adding all projects with 10 million or more, and also add Council
No, it was
President
at
Peter
the
Napolitano.
It was 41 that I wanted to be added on.
All right.
Sorry.
Amend by adding all projects with 10 million or more in the body of the language.
Yep.
That's the first
And where do
motion.
you want to send it?
That
Oh,
was-
we have a motion to make the
Amendment.
following amendment. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. On the item as amended,
I want to send this to Ways and Means.
Second.
And invite Mr. St. Louis and yourself.
okay. We have a motion to send item number 40 to Ways and Means with invitation to the council president and the city engineer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 41.
Invite the engineer, and who was the first one?
Me.
Oh, present. Item number 41. Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor John Leo McKinnon that the mayor and the chief of police appear at the next government operations meeting to discuss the creation of a reserve list for the police. Please invite the patrolman union rep, supervisor union rep, auxiliary police rep, and sponsor of this resolution also.
First, the government operation.
And I'd like to add, amend it by adding Council President Napolitano. You've done a lot of work on this, and you should be on this with me.
Thank you.
Also, I'd like to refer this to government ops as well.
Second.
Okay, on the amendment to add council, add myself to the piece, it's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion to send this to government operations. Invite the following lists on the item. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 42.
Item number 42, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor John Leo McKinnon that the ISD Director, Mr. Jim Soper, appear at our next meeting to discuss permitting fees for contractors that work on city streets or residents' driveways doing hot top pavement.
Refer this government ops and invite Jim Soper.
Second.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 43.
Item number 43, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor John Leo McKinnon that the City of Everett look into the feasibility of starting an internship program for all departments and to reach out to colleges and trade schools in the area to tap into the talent pool they may have.
Amend this by adding Councilwoman Rosa DeFlorio. And Councilman Capone.
We have a motion to amend this to add Councilors DeFlorio and Capone to this. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Refer this to the mayor's office and a response back within 30 days.
Okay, we have a motion to refer, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion to send this to the mayor's office with the response back.
30 days? 30 days?
It's supposed to be the next meeting, but
Wow.
I don't
Our
know.
rules state it has to be the next meeting.
But I don't
We
care.
said the second meeting in October?
It has to be the next meeting.
Okay.
We're gonna,
Okay, the next meeting, we have to bring
There you go. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 44.
and onto that, please.
Item number
Get on.
44, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilors Rosa DeFlorio and John Lee McKinnon that the city look into the possibility of regulating Airbnbs. And
Councilman DeFlorio.
Mr. Chairman, I was fortunate enough to have our secretary do some work. He gave me the Boston City Council. With this casino coming in and the rates of the rooms being so high, there's a few people in Everett that already do this. We have to start figuring out how we license them And the most important thing, it's not about making money, is that our fire department knows what's going on.
How many people
Okay?
are in that
We
building?
saw what happened on Morris Street. The fire department needs to know what these houses are being used for, whether they daycare centers, that's the next item. So this is the reason why, so that they can be regulated, make sure there's safety in there. So I have a lot of information. I figured I would send it to Legislative Affairs, come up with an ordinance. You have the ordinance? Okay. If we could, the clerk is saying that he has the ordinance.
I just wanted to tell you, so your clerk's been pretty proactive. And myself, Assistant City Solicitor Keith Slattery and Assistant City Clerk David Rigucci, along with Tony Souza, have already had meetings over the last few months. That we have a draft ordinance that should be in my hand fully by week's end or early next week. We've already wrote something. It may not be finished, and we may want to still send it, but you're going to have something to work off of. We've pieced together, mostly Attorney Slattery and Assistant City Clerk Rigucci, have pieced together a bunch of other cities. They've used Boston and a few others and mended together an Airbnb ordinance. We've seen this as an issue all the way back when Clerk Matarazzo was in office as the clerk, and we've really seen this. So I took an approach the last few months to really be proactive on it, knowing we were going to have these issues. So I was going to present it to you in the coming weeks, but if you'd like to send it to Legislative Affairs, I will have something ready for you. I just wanted to tell you that we have worked on it, and you'll have something significant in front of you.
First of all, let me amend it before I forget to add Council McLaughlin on it.
We have a motion to add Counsel McLaughlin. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
So if that's the case, that they already have an ordinance going,
Send to
then the best thing to do is maybe send it to the,
Legislative Affairs, so they can amend.
Send it to Legislation Affairs, and then we
Let them
can take
tweak.
a look at it.
Maybe
tweak it. I was gonna
it's
send
not
it to the
perfect.
license, figuring how we're gonna license them.
Well, let them
Let them do the
look at the
legislative.
first to
Okay.
make sure.
So when it's
we
ready,
can-
call for a Legislative Affairs meeting, send it to Legislative Affairs.
Yep.
I would like to be invited to that, obviously. And then, at that point, once we tweak it, it would go to the license committee to figure out how we're gonna license them.
All sponsors invited.
Okay,
Yep, all
so,
responses are always
I wrote
invited.
it, yeah.
thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion to send item number 44 to Legislative Affairs. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 45.
Item number 45, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilors Rosa DeFlorio and John Leo McKinnon that the state provide the city council on a yearly basis an updated list of halfway houses and daycare centers that are officially licensed.
Councilor DeFlorio.
Getting back to, again, public safety. I understand that the state, this isn't to tax anybody, this isn't to punish anybody. People have daycare centers, there's nothing wrong. It's just that I think we should have a list, the fire department should have a list, and the police department should have a list. Because, God forbid there is a fire, and there's children in there, we know that that's a daycare center, and we have to be more extra careful, not that the fire department's not careful. So I believe that every house in the city that's a halfway house, I think we should know about it. We should know who lives in these homes. So I'd like to send this to this, maybe Representative McGonigal and Senator DiDomenico to see who would send us a list to let us know. I mean, I honestly don't know how that works.
Okay.
So I figured if we send it to Representative McGonigal and State Senator DiDomenico, I can call them up and ask them what's the best approach.
And we could ask them for a response, so any other
A
members that are
response.
interested in this would
Right.
get that same information. Okay.
Yeah.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The next two items are listed under the maintenance list. Our rules, this would be the same as the work list sheet that that we're familiar with from the old sessions. Clerk will take them separately. They were supposed to be listed as one item under maintenance list. We're in transition to doing that right now, so they're listed as both items. So I'm going to ask that they be referred to the proper sponsor with minimal discussion. Clerk will read item number 46.
Item number 46, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Wayne A. Matusky. City Services place a trash receptacle in the area of 550 Ferry Street due to the large amount of litter in the area.
Councilman Matusky?
Councilman Marchese has a location. I just want to mention, Mr. President, that this is, I did call and this has been on the, this was only a last resort. 550 Ferry Street happens to be around the former White Hen Pantry area, which is a 7-Eleven, I think, now. The litter is unbelievable. People just walk out of the store and throw it in the air, scratch tickets, you name it. It is, and there's some homeowners there that have been there for years, and they've never seen anything like it. And Councilman Marchese would like to add a couple of locations.
If I may, I'd like the minute to include the corner of Ferry and Cherry on the school side. There was always a barrel there, right across from the Fine Mart. The kids go to school there, they buy, and there's no place for them to throw any, there was a barrel there, they said they're gonna redo the street in 2021. But if they can just get a barrel down there that they can change, it would be great. Ferry and Cherry on the school side, be the right hand of Cherry Street
School
going
side, yeah.
down it.
Okay.
In front of the printer, yep, because
Yeah,
he's
look-
getting all the stuff, all his, between him, his house, it's horrible down there.
Hi, Robert.
Councilman McLaughlin?
Thanks, Mr. President. I would like to try to add a location as well, which is down on Main Street at the intersection of Pierce Ave and Main Street. There's the liquor store and the JS Mart and Nana's Pizza, that whole four-way intersection there. There used to be a barrel. They eliminated the barrel, and the litter is out of control in that four-way intersection also. So if we could add that as an item if we're going to put together a list, that would be
Okay,
wonderful.
on the item is amended, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Councilman DeFlorio?
What happened to all these barrels? I sponsored those, everybody
We
in the
don't-
city,
I don't know.
the business people sponsored those barrels. They paid for them. So I don't understand what happened to them. I started that way back. That's why
by
every
the junkyards.
barrel had a name of a
Something.
business on it.
Scrap metal.
Maybe the
Check with
plow-
Councilman Casey.
All right.
Yes.
Maybe the winter, did they hit them with the plows, never repaired them?
Yeah,
I don't know.
a bunch of them got hit.
Right.
Okay, so send this to City Services. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk, read item number 47.
Item number 47 is a resolution offered by Council Wayne Amatuski that the sign division place a no parking sign on the odd side of the street from Broadway to the Parkway.
Mr. President, once again, I know it's a small item in the big scheme of things, but there is one sign on the entire, that side of Second Street. It's been requested by several residents that at least 3 more signs be put up, so that the sign division place additional no parking signs on the odd side. There's only one there, there should be at least 4 or 5. So I hope the clerk can write that down. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, do I have a second? Second. Okay, so we're sending that also to the sign division. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Now, before we adjourn, I just want to clarify a few things. These maintenance items showed up in a way that our secretary was not accustomed to. Next session, you're going to see them under a separate listing, grouped together, similar to the way as the old worksheets. In other words, there will not be an opportunity to speak on them. They're just sent right off as a group. That means you're also not going to be able to amend them. Now, again, the reason I stress that is because that was the intent for this meeting. It didn't happen, and again, we wanted to provide some flexibility there. But again, the purpose of it is to get the information right into these departments. And we have a tracking system in place. We're going to follow up and stay on top to make sure that your requests are responded to, okay? Now, one last thing I want to do before we amend, we'll follow up on it. We will follow up, and if we have to bring somebody in here before the council, we will do that. Okay, one last thing, and I want to thank the gentleman that came up for public participation today. Tomorrow is 9/11. Everyone in this room, I'm sure, remembers where they were in 2001. Yeah, I got the year right, when this happened. So I'm going to ask everybody to stand for a few minutes, for a moment of silence in honor of the people that died during 9/11. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it.